Fort Meade City Commission Workshop, Monday, October 28th, 2025, starting at 5:02 p.m. Call to order and roll call, City Clerk.
Commissioner McCutcheon,
Present.
Commissioner Williams,
Here.
Commissioner Watts,
Here.
Mayor Varian,
Present.
and I believe Vice Mayor Shell will be tuning in on Teams here for the meeting.
I guess I'll have to make the motions, Mayor, that Commissioner Scal be granted approval to attend meeting virtual and to vote online based on medical conditions.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second. Granting Commissioner Scal permission to participate in this workshop and vote on items as they're presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? None. Motion carries. We're going to go right on to item 3, new business, donation and sponsorships.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, staff. As you know, this item on the workshop agenda is to discuss the donation policy and sponsorship policy. Back at our last commission meeting, we discussed, we had a request from Project Graduation. They requested $500 and that item was tabled or deferred so that we could discuss it at a workshop. And so that's what this item is about.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Since I I was the one, I guess, to make the public not happy with the decision after agreeing to give our historical society a large sum of money. I think one of the things that the commission did do and did pass in this previous budget was allotting funds to a couple different organizations here in the city. And one of those organizations presented and came to the podium some of their mission and some of the things that they do to assist organizations, schools, arts programs, back to school fundraisers, all those types of different things. And I believe, it's my opinion, that being that we've already allocated funds to that particular nonprofit organization, if we can come into some type of an alignment to direct citizens and organizations to that agency, perhaps just like we do with Help of Fort Meade. Residents don't come here to the city of Fort Meade when they need, say, food, or they need rental assistance, or they need light bill assistance. We send those residents over to the Help of Fort Meade. And I see this kind of the same way, that when civic organizations come in asking for assistance financially, being that we have already partnered with an organization here in the city that is already doing that particular work, I don't see any reason why we can't refer them to that particular organization, being that we've donated funds already.
Okay, so I was under the impression that we would be presented with something.
Okay.
And there's some handouts that are being printed.
Okay.
Okay.
Our-
What are we presenting? There's some stuff from we got it.
Okay.
So is it okay if we just go to the next item and come back on it? They do have a lot of information to be able to give to you guys on it.
So
It just wasn't printed.
the issue that I have is we didn't get this beforehand, and we knew we was having this workshop. So to show up today and not have that, that's frustrating. It's frustrating. So I don't know whatever else way to move forward with this. I don't want to continue to kick the can down the road because you want to make sure that we're doing this in a good faith effort and not a last minute put together piecemeal type thing.
Well, I think the reason that I just presented is a soluble one. Because again, the city of Fort Meade is not a 501c3. And we don't have to support civic organizations, but I think because precedent has been previously set for a number of years, this is the way that we've done it. However, I think that a new precedent can be set, being that we have aligned ourselves and agreed and already allocated funds to a nonprofit organization who's already doing the work. It's no different than us giving the funds to Help of Fort Meade because they are rendering a service to the community that we, the city of Fort Meade, don't do. So I see it, I could be wrong. I'm open to any other options or ideas or thoughts on that. Because what happens is, I believe, if a policy is established, we're still going to be in the position where we're going to have to tell someone no. Or we're going to have to say, well, this time we're going to give them 500, but we're only going to give somebody else 250. And so if we can work together with an organization that we've already allocated funds to perhaps oversee that particular project, and defer residents to that organization, I think that might be best for the city. That's my opinion.
I understand, but I thought we were here for a different reason.
Yeah, Mayor,
to
let me
set policy.
let me make a statement here. I want to apologize to you, first of all. If we said that we were going to provide information to this commission, we should have, okay? And I know this is a workshop, you can't take action, but you do need base information. And if we
Correct.
did that, my apologies, and I will try to do better about all of that. So I hope it doesn't delay, but you can still have conversation and discussion.
Yeah.
Or maybe
So
we can just come back to it.
yeah. So the next item is code enforcement.
Mhm.
We'll entertain a motion to.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we move to item B and come back to item A, the donations and sponsorship.
We have a motion to just move forward until the information is provided. Item B, code enforcement lien amnesty program, and then we will return back to A. So we just amend that.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? None. So let's go on to code enforcement lien amnesty program.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, we this was tabled from our last meeting to workshop so we can discuss particulars. You should have in your packet and in front of you, a list of jurisdictions that we looked at to look at percentages, because I think the resolution that you had an underline in there, so you can tell us what the percentage was. And I'll turn this over to the attorney so she can further discuss.
This. Do y'all have this?
Yes.
Yes. Alright, so you'll look at the summary of code enforcement fine and lien percentages by jurisdiction. So it gives you 8 individual cities that are listed on here. It's a little bit difficult to find cities that match up with ours exactly as far as population and different things of that nature. So obviously, while you're looking at a program and what you want to implement here, you want to take into consideration some of the specifics that our city has, Fort Meade, and our median income and different things of that nature. Instead of just saying if Polk County has this or Polk City has this or Bartow has this, we're going to do the same thing. It's not to say they don't have some good things there, but it gives you their population. It gives you the point of contact. Usually they're going to assign one person as a point of contact to it, telephone number, the percent that is charged of the lien. And then it gives you some additional notes here that talks about basically who makes the decisions on these reductions and how they're made and different things of that nature. So if you have any questions on it, I think a good point would be if we look at the program that we're looking at putting into place, because we do all agree, I believe, that something needs to be in place. And it's for helping the residents and the city, right? So any properties that are dilapidated, things of that nature, you want to make sure they come into compliance. So a program like this really does work to enforce compliance, and that's what we want, and also gets it back on the tax roll and things of that nature, which is a help to the city. So if we look at the program that we have in conjunction with what's out there, you don't have to go with what's out there, but I want to know what your thoughts are on it. The way we have it written up for you guys is presented is you as the commission would tell us what you would like to do. You would tell us what percentage you want to use, and you would also, you could leave a cap in there. I think I explained the last time, the way we put it there was if we have someone that has a fine of $1 million and you want to give them a base 10%, that still may be a staggering amount that the city would be collecting from them, and they may not likely be able to make that payment. I think the individual that was here last time or 2 or 3 meetings ago, that was one scenario that we were faced with. So that's just all things for you to think about. I know you're not going to likely be able to come up with a system that every single person is going to be happy with, but you just come up with something that you think would be best for the residents wholly, and that would be best for Fort Meade. And so this is the data that we provided for you to give you a good working talking point for it.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
No questions?
No, Mr. Williams?
No.
Has Commissioner Shell joined us yet?
It does not look like it.
Okay. At this point, will there be any questions from the public? Come on up.
Floyd Nelson, 151 Sand Mountain Road. I am the person that she's talking about with $1.6 million lien. If you did 10%, it's $160,000 for a lot that's valued at $16,000. Also, that property is homesteaded. Just refuse to pay it. Can't take it. What can you do with it? The lien will just continue to roll. I mean, I think that $160,000 at 10%, that's a lot of money. It's a whole lot of money. I can have a new house built for that with a lot. It's just something to think about, because a code enforcement officer didn't like someone that did not drop the lien on a property. This property's been clean for years. It's not like it's new. We've had how many code enforcement officers that have not followed up on properties that are compliant or non-compliant? So I think that there should be some certain issues that should be addressed, and I'm all about fairness. But at the end of the day, we got to look at the value of the property itself. Like I said, if the lien is not satisfied, the city still doesn't get anything. It's homesteaded. Zero.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, come on up.
Barbara Arnold, 624th Street. I want to talk about what he just said. The city manager is talking about y'all coming up with an agreement of how the amnesty should work. I disagree with that. Y'all come up with the agreement the very first time, and y'all's liens all got lifted. Why is his not getting lifted? And from what I understand, he paid for the application fee. He did everything that y'all did, but yet his liens aren't getting lifted. Why is that? So I feel like he should be treated just like y'all were treated. Y'all filled out an application, you paid the fee, your liens automatically got lifted. As a matter of fact, some of your liens were written off and said everything was compliant. Your building's not even compliant down there yet. What's wrong with this picture? Thank you.
The purpose of this is to set the policy
Okay.
moving forward. We did identify that we would move forward in case by case situations up to this workshop, correct?
So, not exactly. So
Okay.
today, in this meeting, what we're having is a workshop.
Mhm.
So the workshop is solely for the commission and the public, but the commission to talk about different things openly in
Mhm.
front of the public. So it's very transparent
Yes.
about what you want, what your thoughts are on the program, what it would look like for you, and to try to come up with something that is fair. So at the conclusion of this workshop, no action will be taken. However, on the agenda for the meeting that starts, the code enforcement lien mitigation program is still there. And so the one that you guys had in place, to my understanding, ended, I believe, at the end of June. So most of these programs you'll see, they're set up not to last in perpetuity. They're usually there for a short period of time. Most of the ones that I've seen don't last quite 12 months. They're sometimes open for 3 to 6 months. So they're a very short window in time that all over Florida that they're usually open for. And that gives individuals an opportunity to come in and residents to bring the properties into compliance, pay whatever the amount is that they're going to pay, and get it processed. So what I would say where we're at right now is we're not looking at liens on an individual basis, because that would set the city up for too many potential problems where we're looking at one lien and not potentially treating everyone that's similarly situated the same. So in lieu of doing that, it's best to set a policy that the commission votes on as a whole and approves. And then as long as the individual meets that, it's there. The one that you have in front of you that you're going to be taking some action on, but not in this meeting, also allows for not just property owners, but allows for the property owner to sign a power of attorney to someone to say that they can apply for this on their behalf, because some individuals do live out of state. Maybe they have a family member living there, right? And they want to be able to benefit from the program, but it's a little bit hard for them to come down here and do it. So that's something that we normally see as well. And it keeps in mind that obviously it would go through bringing it into full compliance, and it will put that on usually your code enforcement officer. I think that's Mr. Mitchell, to go around and to verify. So there would be checks and balances that are in place. So that's what you would be doing now, discussing what your concerns are about those checks and balances, what you would like to see in the policy.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Mitchell was in a conference this week, correct?
He is.
Yes. So that's why he's.
But he was heavily involved in looking at the lien mitigation policy that would be up for the meeting subsequent to this workshop concluding.
Gotcha. So, and maybe I misspoke. For the properties that are not, that we're not able to collect on, those particular properties are the ones that would be dealt with case by case.
Yes,
correct?
sir.
All right, so I wanted to clarify that. So I misspoke on that. Now, with this right here, I would like to see implemented in our policy something that does address homesteaded properties. It is the law, but are we here trying to collect on a homestead property?
So no, right now we're not trying to collect on any properties. You're just saying,
Correct. Correct. We had that as an example.
Okay.
So with this policy, I would like to see it expressly written,
Okay.
Not implied, whether it's the law or not, because we have situations, it was the law when it got put on there, right? Or did that become law after the fact? So we need something so that our employees do not make this type of mistake again.
I think that's a. Okay. Want to take it?
If you don't mind, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
I'm hoping somebody take the
okay,
lead on it.
we're gonna try. We're gonna try, Mayor. Okay, so code enforcement officer, when they go out and investigate these suspected or reported violations, they issue a notice of violation. They go to special magistrate. Special magistrate adjudicates the violation. Now, what happens? They don't look to see if it's homesteaded or not. Okay, because it doesn't matter. Okay, doesn't matter if it's homesteaded or not. But what happens is the fine gets confirmed at a later date by the special magistrate. It turns into a lien after a certain period of time. Now, it is appropriate and it is practice to file a lien on properties that is homesteaded. It's just how it is. But what's happening is, an affected property owner, when they go to either go get a mortgage or second mortgage or line of credit or something like that, it clouds the title. Now we can't exercise a foreclosure action against a homesteaded property. But here's what my experience tells me and what I think will happen. A property owner, if they go to do a refinance or whatever, they'll come back here to the city. And at that point, this is what we'll do. Okay. So if I, and Markeisha she's a real estate guy, she can really explain what language we can put into the resolution to kind of get to where you're getting at. Because you're talking about afterwards.
Correct.
You're talking about after we go through the code enforcement process and we find out that, this property is homesteaded. Well, we can't foreclose on it, but it does not mean that the lien is not good or the font, it does not mean that. So that's what we should discuss, Marquise, I guess, that part about what would the language be that would allow, because I think, maybe we have, this will be the process. This would be the process. We would make that Markeisha would review it and say, this property's homesteaded. She would look through and make sure it's legal, that it was placed properly and all that, and then we see where it goes.
Yeah, and I think City Manager Brown did a good job of kind of trying to form that into an answer. It's a little bit more complicated than what we can probably really flesh out. The best way I could explain is this: if your property is homestead, that just means that is your primary residence that you live in, right? And if you have a second home that you're using as an investment property, that's not considered as homestead, right? And homestead is different because of taxes, right? You get a taxable valuable amount that will allow you to pay less taxes on it, but just because you don't have that doesn't mean you can't still get a judicial determination of homestead. So homestead is that is the house that I reside in, right? That is my primary residence. Now, that's not to say that there could be a free for all that, if you have violations that occur on that property that they're not noted, right? Gotcha. And so I think I would caution the commission about putting any restrictions on a policy when the law is very clear on it, and so our hands are tied to what we can do. We can't foreclose on it, but like Mr. Brown stated, if the property is not in compliance and it is violating one of our code violations, then I don't see how the city would treat that property differently from any other property that's not homestead, and the violation is there. So I don't know if the city wants to get into putting that in policy, that we're not going to either take note of it at this point, because the code, the mitigation program just says you have liens and we're trying to help you reduce them. And we're trying to, and the incentive is you'll get them into compliance. That's it, right? It has nothing to do with the foreclosure. Now, at some point, the city can say we want to collect on these items. So that's separate and apart from the policy. It doesn't have anything to do with the policy itself. And so when we start putting things in the policy that don't necessarily directly relate to the implementation of the policy, we get in a little bit of too much entanglement. And that's the best way I can kind of explain it. The other part of it is if a person does have a homestead, right? And what if they do have rental property? Then that lien can attach to all their other property. So if we start putting things in here that the city then has to have, individuals go into to manually say, well, this came on their homestead, but they got 4 other properties over here, or what if they do a sale and the sale is not done through a title company? You can transfer property on your own through a quick claim deed, right? And if you do that, then the homestead is lost, then the city has effectively taken themselves out of collecting money because that lien is going to attach to the property possibly. So it's a little bit more involved than just saying we're going to make some language here to say we're not going to go after homestead property.
Gotcha.
Because the law kind of covers that part of it. We can't foreclose on homesteaded property, but to not acknowledge the lien in that way because of it would, I think, be detrimental to the city.
Thank you. One of the things I think I would like to see is giving residents just a little bit more than the 30 days to remit payment, for hard cost, or when there is an amount that is set that we reduced their lien to, perhaps 45 days to make a payment. Just a little bit more time to come up with what their balance due is. Other than that, I like what is already written here, but just perhaps maybe giving the residents an extra 15 days to remit payment.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking for the resolution to see what is it in the resolution.
So we've talked a lot about precedent. And we've pretty much set precedent with our last embassy program, when we did erase liens totaling a lot of money. And so we set a precedent. There's a gentleman here that applied by the process. He filed his $1.25 application fee and never heard. I don't believe he ever got anything back on it. But now he's still sitting here today, has been trying to get this resolved since that period of time. I don't know how long back. And it was set. So now we're looking at something on percentages, fine. But things that were already in works during that period of time just never got followed up on, need to be addressed separately.
Well,
And-
this is
and the other-
this is, I think things have to get addressed. So if the person made an application, then we had to make an assessment at that time, So we'll have to review his
Yeah, the case by case.
issue and we can get back to you on that issue, because I understand the debate and the conversation, but I don't think that this is related to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But because he can say what he's done.
Yeah.
But if we had an application, we had to act on it during that time period, because there was a resolution that sunset this program back on June 30th of 2025. So that died when that resolution was passed. That's over with. That's why we're back before you again. So if he submitted his application and all things, we were able to go through it and say yes, no, and I don't know what happened.
Right.
But I mean, I don't see what
What?
happened here. And he's more than welcome to talk with me. I can be here tomorrow morning. I'll work with Markeisha, because she'll have to do the legal review on it to make sure that we deal with that. Now, remember, the commission's already done a policy that if we have problems or it's an error in the perfectionate lien, we already got that. This is going to be handled from now on out. Okay, if there's a problem. So I don't know that. I'd like to get the opportunity to meet with him and go through it. And then if it's something that is we erred, then it goes to Markeisha. She'll be dealing with it. So.
And I have the same sentiments as City Manager Brown. I think in responding to you, Commissioner Watts, if he can get with the city manager and he can provide his application or whatever he had at that point in time, if there was something that was outstanding that is on the city's end and the city didn't recognize it, it's something that could come back before the commission that can be explained that would have predated all of us. But we could say that, and then you guys could vote that. But the specific sunset date, like you said, for that ended. So anyone applying would have to come up under this new program. But if there are instances, it sounds like what Mr. Brown is saying, with individuals who are saying that they applied up under the old program, they started that and it was incomplete, and they believe it was because of something on the city's part, that he's made himself available to talk to them and then be able to resolve that part for them.
So are you saying that the resolution, whatever the finding is, has to then come back to the commission?
So since that program had a sunset date and it is
Because
concluded,
there's multiple people that have expressed going through the process and never hearing back from anybody. And so I do agree, if they already went through that process, now we're going to put them under a different process. As was stated, if the individual
yeah.
shows proof of this, he has. The last individual also showed proof of going through that process.
Yeah.
So we should be consistent and be fair with that. To bring those individuals under a new policy in which total forgiveness is not done is unfair to them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So that's where I want to be clear.
I agree 100%. If we make identification, personal application that occurred back in that time period, we're gonna apply whatever the rule was then, and we'll make an assessment, and it'll be forwarded to the attorney's office. That's how it works. So I know Mr. Nelson. I'm certain that he has good documentation. I'll look at it. I'll review it. Forward to Marquisha. We'll handle it. And anyone else that met that category, this is easy to find out. Receipt, they wrote a check to the city for the application. Yeah. And so,
Mr. Nelson.
Nicole stated in a previous meeting that my sister-in-law did apply for that amnesty program. Am I correct?
She did, and there is a letter on file that it was
There's your proof.
it was rejected by the current code enforcement officer that on that property.
I don't know why, because if you ride by the property now, we actually pay people to keep that property mowed. It's been cleaned for several years. With that being said, from the minute that I have spoke for this family, representing for this family, which is my mother-in-law,
Yes.
90 days has passed. $250 a day, $22,500 has continued to roll on this property. How's that fair? Why haven't we put a stopover on the lien?
if he's done talking, I'm sorry, Mr. Nelson, go right ahead. Sorry about that.
And I don't know all the legality of it. I do know that she's on a fixed income. I do know that we applied. I know the property's been cleaned. Why hasn't someone looked into it? Why every time we get a new code enforcement officer, they're not following up on some of these past properties? There should be a record of it. This is out of compliance. Where's it at now? Why are we not looking at it? Mr. Brown?
Yeah, no, I was waiting for you, man. I don't want to get in the middle of it. I just want to let you do your thing, and if you're finished, I can. If the mayor says, "Hey, go ahead and say something,"
ahead.
I'll go. Okay, all right. So you've covered some of this already. At your last meeting, you adopted that resolution that deals with all these irregularities and errors. Okay, in that resolution, you also set forth directives to the code enforcement officer to make, I believe it was biannual inspections, like every 6 months they would have to go out and look at every lien in the city to stop the lien. But there was also something that happened here at our, I guess, that same meeting. Y'all put everything on ice. Y'all said nobody's going to accrue anything. Okay, so we have a process in place. We just need to look at his specific issue and review it. You know, it could be that the lien is over 10 years old or over 20 years old.
2008.
Well, I don't know the statute. There's statute limitations on these things. So let's say that the lien was 20 years old. All we're going to do is take all that information, send it to the city attorney. She's going to make the determination on what happens next. Okay. Now, if it's in compliance, great, because that's one of the requirements that the code enforcement officer will look at. And he says it is. the property owner says it is.
I have one question.
Yeah.
If the property's out of compliance, why isn't there a yellow sign in the yard right now?
The property's out of compliance.
If it's still out of compliance, why isn't there a code enforcement violation sign in the yard to where maybe the landowner could be notified, this is your issue?
Yeah. Well, listen, he's talking about operations here.
Mhm.
Let me just say this.
Yeah.
Our enforcement process starts like this. Suspected or reported violations. Suspected or reported violations. Right now, we just got a code enforcement officer. Everybody knows this. If you call City Hall, he responds to these violations. He don't go out there and start picking on folks on the private property. Okay? We're not there yet. We are responding to complaints. So in Florida, you know, obviously someone has to make a complaint. I'm sorry. If someone makes a complaint, we have to keep a record of who called and made that complaint. So as you can imagine, you know, nobody calls, make complaints. But all this about, you know, why is he doing that? He's not patrolling neighborhoods. Right now he's trying to get a hold of all the administrative files over in that office there, because what we found out was a lot of it was not organized properly for anyone to come behind them and do that. So we're administratively doing stuff, but he is handling all the big stuff. Okay. But anyway, the way the complaint system works, make a complaint, code enforcement goes out there, starts the process. That's kind of how it works. They don't go out there and start messing around with people.
And I don't want to open up a can of worms here, but I do want to address this because sometimes things can come back. When the city manager is reviewing this and talking to individuals about their application in the last program before the sunset date, then he would be looking at all things like what Ms. Patterson just stated. If there was a rejection, you know, that's a little bit different. So a rejection is a rejection, which means they didn't qualify for the program at that time for some reason or sorry about that. For some reason or another. So that's a little bit different than the city just didn't get back and didn't respond. Okay. So that's two different things. So I mean, he could talk to me about that at that point in time. I won't go into it on the record about what should be done and what should not be done, but we clearly need to make the distinction that if you went through the process and you were rejected for some reason or another, that is a rejection.
I apologize. It looks like Commissioner Shell has come on.
So we have
Go ahead.
No, we have a process in place for errors, misstatements, those kinds of things. We've done that already. So what we're talking about is how we handle things going forward for the next year.
Right. Come on.
Ramel Ford, 505 Myrtle Street. What I want to say is, I want to make sure we're clear for people that are watching online and people that are sitting in the audience. You guys are upset about something that is not the fault of this current commission. I just want people to understand that when they get up here and make assumptions or say, why is it? It is not the fault of this current commission. And I want to apologize to this current commission for having to bear the burden of what has happened previously before you got here. You guys are trying to fix an issue that has occurred in this town for a very long time against the will of some of you guys, but you were outnumbered. So we thank you for trying to fix this issue. And it's very disheartening for some of the residents to sit in here as though they're blaming this current commission for an action that was done prior to them getting here, and you very well know it wasn't them. So don't try to sway the audience into believing something that's not true. Allow these guys or these folks to do the job that we've elected them to do and fix the mistake that has taken place. We haven't had a code enforcement officer. Now that we do, allow him time to fix the mistakes, or even if it wasn't a mistake, to fix the problem. So please extend grace, as we all need grace, and let these folks do their job and get us on the right path. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Greetings to everyone.
Okay.
Stephen McKenzie, 528 South Seminole Avenue. First off, thank you for taking on this task. It's daunting. But my question is, I have a demolition notice for 2004. It was taken down. I have another violation for 2009. It says excessive grass, weeds. It's taken care of. 2025. Why is that still there? That's my question. It's not exempt. I mean, not homestead. But I have two partials. I can't afford that. I'm 81 years old. All my siblings are in their 70s, 80s. That's not going to happen. So I don't know what you're going to do, but this should be forgiven because it was taken care of. Why is it still on the books? That's my question. You have a lot of work before you, and I pray that you figure it out. But we need to know what the process is, because I'm waiting to find out what you're going to do. Then you're going to tell me I owe $5,000? I'm going to move out of the city. That's what's going to happen. People are going to leave. All the properties were lost where people in my family, my father, who died at 96, had these 3 lots. And all the lots that are vacant are people who died. And the kids didn't take care of it. So the liens were put on their property, and they're still there. So no one can buy it. What's the solution? I pray that you seek inner guidance and receive that, because I'm on your side. I'm not against you. I thank you for taking on this. But we've been told so many things about so many different people, but it's still on the books. That's my issue. Why is this still here? And the code enforcer can't do anything except go out and see what's going on now, today. So we have to start from here. Forget about the past. Figure out, and I know you can do it. That's why we put you here. I trust you. And I pray for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was there someone else? Oh, it was, I thought someone in the back, maybe that was Mr. Steve.
If not, I'll spit them.
Go ahead.
Candace Lott, 324 South Bloxham. I was just, some of these liens have followed people for decades through multiple families and stuff. And I think that at the last commission meeting, you had, Mr. Brown had even mentioned there being a cutoff date of possibly looking at to get rid of some of these that have gone back for so long that if they're 10, 20 years ago, you're looking at getting money from these people who aren't the people who had the property originally. If you could come up with a cutoff date at some point and then let it go from there and start worrying about people who are out of compliance now and their property now, and have a fresh view instead of having to worry about properties and paperwork from 20 years ago. It would just seem a little more beneficial to the entire new process if you had a date that said, okay, if you're in compliance and it's more than 10, 20 years, let's just start fresh. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we've stated that multiple times, that we're in the process of going back to seeing which properties, because of time. I think we've stated that multiple times, and I think again, just allowing our newly hired code enforcement officer, along with staff, to comb through, as we already know, there are several violations that are from a long time ago. And it didn't just happen. Unfortunately, things just weren't being done in decency and in order. I was aware of that. Nobody was complaining back then, 4 years ago. Precedent was set. It was in the way that liens were forgiven. I expressly stated it on the dais. Be careful of how we move forward, because we were setting precedent. But now that we're at this juncture, we have someone with the skill, the knowledge, the education, and the ability to comb through the errors, the missteps that were previously made. We need time to get to the other side. That's all this commission staff is asking for. But for tonight, for the sake of the workshop and what we are talking about right now, the code enforcement lien mitigation program, the only thing I would like to adjust is allowing residents, whenever we do set policy, an additional 15 days from the 30 to make their balance due, whatever that amount might be. That's the only thing I have in regards to this issue. Okay.
And if you go to where you see it says resolution 2025-108, if you go to that second page, I would want to say that's where that time frame is listed.
Section 5.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, section 1, paragraph 5.
Yep.
We would change 30 to 45. If there's no objection, we could just go ahead and do that. If someone wants to say something opposite, we'll just make the change.
And then it would be in the regular meeting when the motion would be made, if that's what the commission would like to do. You would make the motion stating that it would be to amend the policy to allow 45 days.
Okay.
For the payment to be submitted instead of 30 days. The other relevant parts of that is there are no income restrictions. It does not waive hard costs. Generally, hard costs usually are not waived. And if you'll note, it again gives the commission the permission to set a percentage of the original amount, but there's also a clause that says, but not more than, right? So if this commission decides that they don't want anybody to pay more than $25, I guess you could set it up, but no more than $25. So that means if the 10% of a lien would be $50,000, but you want it to be no more than $25, then it would be $25. So this commission still has the ability to go back and do what you've done in the past with your precedent that you've set before.
Is there I see we have you now, Commissioner Shell.
Yeah, my internet in my house is really bad, but hopefully I don't lose you again.
All right.
I started on this at 4 o'clock.
Wow. Thank you for participating. So, in dealing with the no more than, is there a desire, a number that we would like to cap collection on? Is there a recommended number?
I personally am not against making eliminate the entire thing. Once the property is in compliance, eliminate the liens as long as the hard costs are paid in total in a timely manner.
What would be the timely manner?
Keep 30 days, 45 days, a set term, and it'd be done. It's hard to set a cap. I would say, depending on what the guys go through. I've got a $5,000 with a lien here, and you go cap me at $500, or there's got to be a percentage, of some kind, not necessarily a dollar amount.
Gotcha. So, well, my mind is always thinking worst case scenario, like somebody with an outstanding balance.
Yeah.
So if somebody owes, what the example is here, 10% of that is what, 160,000. So a certain percentage, or no more than 25K. You see what I'm saying? Something reasonable in which they could do. And then if on those lower end collections, set whatever that percentage is, no more than 25K. So if they haven't gone to the extent of what this property has, it still would be under 25K. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
So what you're proposing is more so of a structure, right? So if your liens are up to $50,000, we'll it's gonna be 10%, but no more than $5,000. If your liens are say up to $200,000, it'll be 10%, but no more than, you know, a higher amount. So I mean, we could definitely frame a structure. You just have to tell us what the structure is, because initially what you said is you want them to be waived, which is
I'm not against it.
okay, not against it being waived. So that's an option as well. It doesn't have to be a percentage amount or any of that. You can waive them in full, but you're not waiving the hard costs. So the way the program is set up right now, it's saying that the hard costs won't be waived. So that's what you have, that those are not going to be waived. However, anything beyond the hard costs, that's what you guys have to decide. And you can definitely do a structure and a flow up depending on the amount of the liens.
All right, so in the event that we have what we currently have on the books, once we get everything logged and presented, come on up and give me 1 second. Once we have our database is complete and we have the facts of this is what the community owes on these said properties. My thought process is not necessarily having the structure, but capping the amount that it would be that they would have to pay back. Okay. And that is to cover everything in the past, all the way up to what's currently being assessed, if that makes sense.
It does. What number what are you guys thinking?
Paragraph 3, section 1, paragraph 3, and so the I was going to say, this program, it ends October 31st, 2026.
Yeah.
So just factor that in. You know, this is not forever. This is until October 31st, 2026. So after that, people are going to be, you know, once we get our administrative house in order. Right.
Correct. But what I'm thinking is, because of the need for organization, that may take us a while to get it there. And then once we get that, program should start.
But at least we can deal with errors. We can deal with things that are administratively a problem.
Gotcha.
So,
Mr. McKenzie?
My question at this moment is, these liens are $250 a day since 2004, 2009, and it's not exempt.
Correct.
Where do people fall in line that's in the same situation that I am?
So we're trying to create something for that.
I just want to make sure I make that question in your mind.
Gotcha.
How many people in this situation who do not have exempt properties can apply for that have properties that are not?
Well, one thing they said that she clarified earlier, that no matter whether it's exempt or not, we're creating a program that would apply to all properties. Okay. And then we'll deal with how things are structured at that point.
Does age of the lien matter?
We're working that out now. Yes, sir.
Okay. It's a daunting task.
So there's
But could I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. We want to hear from you.
I don't know how many people have these liens, but maybe they should be in this room
That would have been a positive thing. And
to get some feedback.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that's missing in Fort Meade. We have no idea what's going on until you get word of mouth. The city needs some kind of format on some kind of media to tell us what's going on. Good stuff and bad stuff. There's no communication between y'all and us. We hate that separation. We're a community. So we need to figure out how to say what's going on. Maybe we need something outside that says, commissioner meeting this day, these kind of things that make the community alert as to what's going on. There's a Christmas parade coming. If you don't go to a certain church, you don't know what's going on in the community. I don't know what side of the town you have to be on, but there's a lack of communication. That's my biggest issue. I have no idea what's going on in this city. You never see people. Where are they? They're not on the streets.
Gotcha.
Where are they? We love this city, but we don't see anybody except at church, at a gathering. But in the meantime, even when we do the street festivals, where are the citizens? That's what we need to figure out, how you bring the oneness into this community. That's what's missing. God is all. We are all one. And I think if we love as Jesus did, this will not be in this circumstance
Yes, sir.
at the moment.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'm all for 10%, but not to exceed, not to exceed $5,000.
And that's across the board? I'm asking. Or you want to structure? Because in a situation like that, I feel that that might not be enough to enforce compliance. I feel people will, for new cases established in the last 2 or 3 years, I'd say that would be ample. But for the cases that we've had for quite some time, and we're trying to work something out, that may not be enough to encourage compliance. I was thinking a higher number, but I want to hear from the commissioners. Mr. Williams, you have something? Any feedback?
Not at this time, other than to say that I am in favor of extending the amnesty program that existed before. I think there were communication errors, and I think our communication can be stronger. But I do believe that an amnesty program should be extended for another year, that the city have a chance to communicate better, city commissioners, etc., regarding the amnesty program, from application process to all of the steps that are involved in them receiving lien amnesty and bringing their properties into compliance. I know there's a lot of conversation around this, and understandably so. I would be in favor of a streamlined process for a year, and inside of that year, we figure out what structure looks like after. What date did you say?
October 31st.
After October 31st of 2026. So that's all that I have to offer at this time.
That has merit.
Say that again.
That has merit.
Gotcha. Commissioner Shell.
Yes, I thought we had a program where we had a year to come in compliance.
We did, but that sunset. We did, but that particular program sunset. So now we're here contemplating whether we're gonna do another one, and then what that looks like. Did you have any? Go ahead.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, as long as they comply to it, and they, from what I can see, they haven't complied to the last one. They had a year, from what my understanding was, to comply with the program, and not everybody's complied. That was my only complaint about it. I mean,
Gotcha.
other than that, I'd help with anybody. I mean, but I think it's a good deal for everybody in the long run.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
a good question to Mr. Williams. By extend, which program we talk about extending? The one that sunset?
Yes, sir. The one
Okay,
that
let's
sunset.
make sure that's clear. Okay.
Yes, sir. The one that's sunset. And I do believe where there were challenges with communication, that we can improve that communication with notifying residents, whatever that looks like. If it's a town hall, if it's I know the city staff is stretched, so putting on an additional responsibility is tough. Whatever we can do collectively to notify residents, not only that the program exists, but let them know to the best of our ability, we will walk them through the program and assist in any way that we can. I know with some seniors who are dealing with code enforcement challenges, they may not have the resources. So that's can be explored in further conversation, how to assist those who just don't have the resources, whether that be financial or, the physical of addressing the code enforcement. But again, to answer your question, I am referring to the lien amnesty program that has already sunsetted. I would be in favor of extending it for an additional year, or starting it again for additional year with improved communication, collective communication, and assisting residents in any way that we can.
So, I want to revisit what Commissioner McCutcheon suggested. I was thinking a $10,000 cap.
That's fine. I got that in there.
Oh, okay. All right. And so, as it's currently recommended, the percentage,
10.
10% with a cap of 10 grand. Now, does this address the time frame that they have to get it in compliance, or is this brought into compliance prior to? Prior to. Because I believe the last one was that there was a certain amount of time that they had, or maybe it was I might be understanding. It was the duration of the program.
So yes.
Duration of the program.
So, so the way it would work is as long as they came into compliance before October 31st, 2026, and they put in the application, and there was a short application there that you were able to see, and then they pay the fee. I think the application fee is either $100. I'm assuming you guys aren't gonna have any discussion on changing that part. So as long as they submitted these things and came into compliance before the end of the program on October 31st, 2026, then they would qualify to be able to get the reduction. And then they would have, under Commissioner McCutcheon's suggestion, 45 days after that to be able to pay whatever that reduced fine amount was. And that's assuming at the next meeting that that's what the will of the commission is and it passes on a vote.
Gotcha. All right. Any further discussion? Commissioner Shell?
Yeah, I thought I don't want to nitpick, but I thought the fee was $125 on that chart. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I saw in.
Ms. Willer says that you are correct. It's $125.
Thank you.
Wait, no. That's not right. I'm sorry. So I think we're crossing over here. So I believe but I believe your last lien mitigation program fee was $125. Right. However, what we have written up that's been disseminated to the public for this new program is $100. But that can change. You guys can have discussion on that. That's your call.
I stand corrected.
No, you were correct. So are you okay with it being $100
going forward?
I'm okay. I mean, 100 or 125. Yeah, I just assumed it'd be 100 to help the public.
Okay. All right. Any other before we close this portion of the workshop? Come on up.
Again, Barbara Arnold, 624th Street. Okay. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't make a mistake, however. Y'all were the commissioners at the time the amnesty deal happened because Greg King was in charge of all of it.
Gotcha.
It's true.
I think what he was referring to is when the mistakes were made.
That's when all the mistakes started happening. Yes, you're right.
Okay. I think he was referring to the issues with the code enforcement, not necessarily the amnesty program.
Okay, but my question is, it was supposed to be, all properties were supposed to be in compliance within a year.
Correct. Yeah.
Some of those properties are still not in compliant.
Okay.
So how are you gonna, are they still just gonna follow this new one right along?
So based on my knowledge of it, if someone complains about whatever the properties are, then our new code enforcement officer will go and start his process, and then it will be taken from there. I think that's my understanding. Okay. All right. So we will bring
We think that we know what you want in this resolution that's on the regular agenda. And so we think, staff, we think that we know what we should put in the resolution that's on the printed agenda for a regular meeting. And so we can discuss it at that time and we'll go over it so that everyone knows what we discussed, kind of how that will translate to the document that you guys can vote on.
All right.
So
You got something?
what I have is that I know we have Commissioner Watts is saying that he is in favor of a full waiver as a possibility, right? And then Commissioner Williams is saying he is in favor of extending the old program that had a sunset date for another year with better oversight from the staff. And it sounds like Commissioner McCutcheon and Mayor Berrien are saying that they are fine with the lien mitigation program that is up, that's been presented, but they would like changes to state that it'll be 45 days that individuals can remit payment after, and then the reduction would be 10% of the total lien, but no more than a $10,000 fee. And I don't think Vice Mayor Shell has given us any clear direction necessarily on what he's disseminated that he wants. And I think at this point, what City Manager Brown is saying is, since you guys have had the discussion and you talked about it, it is set on the agenda for the regular meeting. So when the motion is made or not made, or however it happens, because as staff we don't make motions, you make those motions, then you would make a motion. If you get a second and it passes on the way that you have framed it, then you would have to do so, and then those changes could take effect. Right.
You gonna rewrite the resolution?
Well, I wouldn't rewrite the resolution necessarily. With how the motion is made, yeah. So the motion can just be made on the dais to say, I would make a motion to accept it as is, or I make a motion to have the program be 45 days, out in the change of policy, and it be capped at X amount of dollars or whatnot. I mean, whatever motion you guys make is your choice, because it's your seat. So you would make that motion, and if it got a second and it passed, then it would pass. And you can make a motion for whatever you would like. But I think for purposes of the workshop is to get all the questions out and the answers in the discussion, not necessarily to go through taking a vote on what you would want, not taking any action. But it gives you guys a good base to understand every piece of this, so that you know what you would like to do when we get to that point in the meeting, because we're not there yet.
And just for clarity, thank you for your summary. Just so my position is clear, I'm not against one. I do think one should go before the other. And so in my stated desire, it is that an amnesty program is extended, and at the sunset of that amnesty program, whatever structure is in place, whether that be what we've outlined in section 1, number 3, whatever that is, takes place after an extension. I just want to be clear. I'm not against a structured approach. I would like to see the amnesty program with better oversight extended.
All right. So we'll move on to item A. And who's going to be taking the lead on that?
So with
The attorney's gonna.
Okay.
I think you guys have the items in front of you now, right, for the grant aid program for nonprofit agencies?
Yes.
All right, so the way that's written up in most cities, it's called grant aid for non-profit agencies. And so what I went through is I gave you a couple different samples and policies and websites and different attachments so that you could kind of review them, and we can go through those. The first one, and I'm going to say this to the public because you guys probably don't have those packets. But remember, this is just a workshop. The city of Bartow, they have the nonprofit and community partner funding requests. And most of these have a cutoff date for you to be able to apply by. Say it's May. Say if you were going to apply for the budget for next year, then you will be coming in by May of 2026 and putting in an application. It's usually a short application for the city of Bartow for projects that are considered. It just basically states address significant community issues, present innovative and creative ways that it's going to build on community strengths, present a clear work plan to show that the organization has the ability to actually achieve that goal that they have out there. Encourage cooperations, develop leadership, demonstrate quality visions, and it's a couple other different things there as well. It goes to the office of the city clerk, and I think I also put in what their application looks like. For the city of Winter Haven, they do not have any attachments, but all of their stuff is put online. And what the city of Winter Haven does is they actually make individuals that are applying for this come and sit in for a sort of an informational training workshop. And in that informational training workshop is offered 3 to 4 times a year. And you have to register for it. And once it gets full, you'll register for the next session. And at that point, city staff will talk to individuals who are going to be seeking to apply about what it is, that you would need to do and different things of that nature. And they would kind of go through the application process with you. They go through eligibility, funding, the application process, and the timeline. Most of these also have all of the individuals that they have given money to listed on their website. Some of them have them as far back as maybe 4 to 5 years, where you can go back and see how much each organization has gotten, and it just varies. Some of them range up in the $3,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 mark, but obviously some of them go a lot higher. For the city of Bartow, on the next page that you see, their application it looks like it's a two and a half page application. Most of that just requires you to give your information that shows that you're a nonprofit, right? The date that you were established, your federal EIN number, name, phone number, what your organization does, a project summary, because usually you're going to summarize what it is you're getting the funds for, how it's going to be utilized, what impact it's going to have on the community, who is the target population and things of that nature, and who is the person that's making the application. And then you obviously have a signature, and there are a couple other things that you attach to it. They do require that if they give out funding that you put the city of Bartow is a person that's giving you funding on their information. That's probably, rightfully so. If the city's going to give money out, they want to make sure they have the marketing materials and different things of that nature. And some of them even require you to go back and submit photographs and different things of that, so they could just see what happened, and they want to promote it on the city's website or whatnot to show out that this is what we've done. The other person that I pulled up was the city of Haines City. And some of these organizations have programs, but they may not necessarily be online. These were the ones that we could see readily available that were online. In the city of Haines City, the eligibility requirements are that, it be a nonprofit. They also have it as to where you have to attend a mandatory training session. It has to be for public benefit, and you have to talk about the specific project, all right? And then it goes down into an application committee review. So what they actually do is they actually have staff, I think it's 4 or 5 department heads that sit down and they look at the different applications and they rate them. There's also a deadline by which you have to turn this in. So I guess what I really want to emphasize is that most organizations that are giving this money out are giving it out prior to well in advance of the budget being made, right? So if we're going to be applying for money for the 25-26 year, we're going to be doing that in the summer or whatnot. And then those applications are going to be looked at, sorted out, and then turned in. For first time applicants, their new award is only up to $5,000. Returning applicants, they can be awarded up to $10,000 in a cycle or whatnot. And it just kind of lists out different things there that they would want. So, they actually want your adopted budget. So the nonprofit, they want you to bring in that budget, your bylaws, and different progress reports. So in sum, and I gave you their ranking criteria too. Application completeness, 20 points. Project proposition, 20 points. Evaluation method, 35 points. Overall city impact, 25 points. And then they list out the time frame. Application window, when it starts, when the first 2 training sessions start, when the grant review comes in, and then they're going to notify the applicants if they were a recipient that was chosen to be in that. And I also put in their nonprofit grant application. Again, it's about 2 to 3 pages long. It's not really cumbersome. In some, what I would say is most of them require, number one, that you be a nonprofit, agency. That's it. Number two, they're going to require that you submit a completed application by a certain deadline. Number three, they're usually going to want possibly a copy of your budget, right? Because if you're asking the city for money, they can ask you about your finances because you don't want to give money to organizations that maybe are not fiscally responsible. Maybe that's something that the city wants to look at. A copy of the bylaws, the Sunbiz annual report, that's also public record. A lot of them ask for your 501c3 letter, and then they make you attend the training, and then sometimes they'll ask you if you got money in the prior year, because usually you have the same, I'm not going to say usually, but a lot of times you have the same organizations that are coming back for sums of money each year. And so, that's just kind of a tracking. And so that's what we found as far as cities that were around you. I did check about 18 cities, and the rest of them, either, like I said, they just don't have anything out there for it. Not that they don't give, but they just don't have a formal policy in place. But once you start having individuals that do come, it is kind of good, like everything we've talked about, to have some type of policy on it.
So question for you, and to Commissioner McCutcheon's point, I mean, does the city have staff available to sort through applications as such and engage that way? Does another organization need to be formed or delegated to do this level of work? Because this seems like it could take significant time, and I know that staff is stretched. So, city manager, I don't know if you all have thoughts regarding what your capabilities.
We don't have any thoughts. We just want to see what you guys want to do, and we'll work around what you guys come up with.
Okay.
I think in a situation like that there would be good to have a review committee.
Okay.
So we can.
Well, what I will say is thank you. Thank you for doing this. I'm aware of these programs in cities, and I had already done the work. But this is not our issue. Our issue is different civic groups and individuals coming before the commission and asking for a donation. Whether they're going and competing in the FFA, whether their team made it to the state championship, whether the cheerleading squad is going to competition. Nonprofits is really not the issue. Herein lies the issue. We have individuals coming and asking for donations for us to fund their particular event. And so that's not this, correct?
Correct.
And that is not this. And so what I'm addressing is sponsorship for those particular said events. How do we now support them or not? And so my issue is not that I don't want to help anyone or any group or any youth organization or elderly organization. Not that it's not in my heart to want to help and assist them financially. It's just that the city of Fort Meade is not a not-for-profit organization that has the funding to help all of these different entities, groups, organizations, and of the such. We just don't have it. And yes, I did vote to give the Historic Society the $25,000. I don't know too many people, when they decide to throw themselves a party, don't support their own birthday. If we had corporate sponsors in our cities and nearby, like our other neighboring cities, Haines City, Winter Haven, Bartow, who can foot the bill, and better yet, if we would have had citizens who would have supported that event, they probably wouldn't have had to ask the city for funding. Okay? So therefore, I stand by my decision, and I thank the Historical Society for being good budgeters and being able to return some of the funding back. But still, that's not the issue. The issue is separate organizations coming and asking and expecting us, because of precedent, to support and fund their particular events. And so now, how do we do that?
So in particular, one city I spoke with said they do not. So I mean, this is the process. So there's no melee of, and that's how it was explained, where individuals come up to the podium and just ask for funds. It's very risky. You're requiring staff to go through the budget on site. You're requiring commissioners to make decisions on the spur. And it's the whole reason why we have an agenda. It's very transparent with the public. So when that happens, you run the risk of some of those safeguards not being as good as and as tight as you want them. So they do not. That is the process. And if you don't fall into that category, then they're not giving funds.
Thank you. Well, that's my take on it. Again, it's not that we don't want to help. It's not that we don't have a heart. It's just that right now, sometimes decisions that are made are based upon the information that we receive from staff. In hindsight, would I have done it differently? Probably yes, I would have in regards to the Historical Society. Not knowing at the time that we were going to be presented with information that we had to double pay our own CRA because of all of the staff turnover. That was an unfortunate set of events. In addition to that, there were some other things that we found out that we're running on the negative on. So now that I have been properly informed and the budget has been set and we know where we are financially, just for the sake of appeasing the public, that's not going to twist my arm and make me decide to do something that I know in good conscience I should not do. And so, with that being said, in regards to sponsorship, again, and civic organizations, I just don't think we're in the position financially, number one. And then on the other side, I just don't think it's a good thing for us to do, being that we have already allocated funds to some other nonprofit organizations. Maybe that's something this commission can do, or maybe city staff. We can look at that now and say, well, we'll support this nonprofit because they do something perhaps on behalf or come alongside the city, that they can assist us in helping and being a sponsor to different organizations throughout the city. Maybe, I don't know. I can't make that nonprofit do that. But if that organization has already presented and said, yeah, this is what we do, I feel like that would be a good direction to go in, to refer people and allow that organization to set up their structure and decide who gets sponsored and who does not. And that's just my take on it. And I'm done, Mayor.
Commissioner Shell. Look like you may be frozen. Commissioner Watts, you have any feedback?
I personally, your nonprofits and your little leagues, your project graduations are different issues. I am in favor of supporting to whatever sum it may be, whether it's 100 or 200 or 500. To help these organizations out, they don't know until the last minute if they make the playoffs or go to the playoff, the championship game, whatever. That's fine. Then we should have a budget of funds for that. And when that runs out, then it's out. And if it's something we want to consider. But it's a case-by-case basis. The nonprofit, I believe you need a policy in place for the nonprofits. But it's a different entity, in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done it before in the past, and it's ready. I'll go with her that. It's always been done.
Commissioner Williams.
Mayor, I think we all share heart space to make sure that civic organizations, especially with our kids, are supported. I don't know the best structural approach to this. I appreciate the information that you've compiled. I don't know if there is a one-page application and ask for support that's not as in-depth. I don't know what that structure looks like. But again, I am in support of helping any of the civic organizations where we have funding to do so.
Gotcha. Um, and I do appreciate Commissioner McCutcheon's take on that. I, I do agree with the information that was provided. I think an application process should be done that way. If we have a required application process, then we'll know whenever these contracts have come to an end. We are here because for three of the organizations that we have supported traditionally, we're going on a month-to-month assistance because those contracts had expired months ago, and they were never renewed. They were never brought back to the table, so on and so forth. And so I do think that an application process is necessary. If we identify those organizations that we would like to lend support to, then we could include those organizations. Youth football, I believe, is a 501c3. Our school, I don't know what level of their status is, but they do receive donations. What I don't want to do is change what we have historically done, but I do want to make it better. And so, and as it relates to particularly Project Graduation, because I've done fundraising for Project Graduation, it takes a lot to pull something like that off. And I know $250, even $500 is not even a dent in what it required to do so. So I would love to see Project Graduation brought to a level of $1,000, and we make that an annual contribution because of the significance of what that particular organization is doing for the students of Fort Meade Middle Senior High School. So I'm advocating for that. I would like to see this implemented as was presented to us, and we identify those organizations that we're going to partner with, and then require them to show forth the proof that they're doing what they say they do with those funds. And I know Project Graduation won't have a problem with doing so, because we have to do that every year.
When you say this information, there's several
Yes, a lot.
this.
So
correct.
A report.
Say that again.
A report. You're saying a report. Is that the last bit what you said just said?
So as presented, because what we're addressing is two different things. So we have those organizations that we traditionally have included in our budget sessions. That's one aspect, and I feel that what you presented with this addresses that and make those organizations more accountable for the funding that we're giving them. Then we have the portion in which Commissioner McCutcheon is addressing, which is we have individuals that come up on those, what Commissioner Watts referred to, case-by-case situations. We had a young lady go to track. We had the baseball team that went to World Series, and so on and so forth. And we were able to give out those funds as the budget allowed. And I think it was a $10,000 budget one time, and then I think it increased and we weren't aware. So there was a total of $9,000 left in that particular budget, and we were turning people down. You see, so I think what we're trying to do is address two different things. But if we could, for the particular ones that come on a case by case, the youth football will need assistance with funding every single year. It's not just whenever they go to a particular level and have success. And so I feel that if we're going to move forward, we need to incorporate them. Not only do I feel that, but that's what we hear from the residents day in and day out. And so we can't, Rome wasn't built in a day, so we can't just throw a whole bunch of money at them. We know the dilemma we're in now, but we can start at someplace. So that's what I would like to see.
Graduation, you know, the kids are going to graduate every year.
Correct. And that organization will function every single year. So whether we move that, I would say whether we consider them to be a part of the traditional that we have agreed to help and allocate that funding, I'm okay with that. If we keep them out and then do what we do, I know that's one organization that I feel that we should continue to support.
Okay, so I think what I have, and then you can direct me if I didn't get it correct, is that everyone should have to fill out an application,
Yes.
no matter if they are nonprofit or not, because schools traditionally aren't nonprofit, but they can be tax exempt and you get a tax exempt card, right? So no matter what, everybody's filling out an application, and that application should be done prior to the
budget session.
So no later than
I would say July 1 because that's when we get taxable values from the county. So
okay.
That's a good date.
So they'll be due by July 1, and I think that's right because the city manager does operations, so it really should be on them to be able to say what it is. So all of it. So by July 1, that application should be turned in, but you guys also want to anticipate in your budget sessions for setting aside or allocating some funds to individuals that come throughout the year for other items.
I believe what Commissioner McCutcheon suggested is that an organization that we've already given funds to, they do those type of sponsorships or donations, and that we would recommend them to go to that particular organization. Did I understand you correctly?
So that was a suggestion, but at the same time, I can't. We would then have to stipulate this body before we are giving an organization funds, kind of why we're giving them the funds. Is it to assist us with sponsorship? Is it to assist us with those things? You know what I mean? Because, and then that will curtail requests. We can say, put out something that says this particular organization now will handle these requests, or are we going to just continue to do it ourselves? So either we're going to help Project Graduation, or we're going to refer Project Graduation. Either we're going to help the softball team, or we're going to refer the softball team. So I think it shouldn't be separate. I feel like either we're going to do it and do it all, or we're not. That's my opinion. So we're handling some. Yes, I'm saying, because you said Project Graduation. He said the baseball team. We do them every year. I don't know. Is that fair to single out particular organizations that we've already?
I use them for reference or example.
Yeah, I understand what you were saying, but is that right for us to single them out and say we know for sure we're going to give Project Graduation? We know for sure we're going to give to you baseball and football. We know for sure, but we ain't sure we're going to give to the cheerleading team or the softball team.
So my thoughts are that whatever we give out, it needs to serve the purpose of the city of Fort Meade. So we determine what it is that we want the city of Fort Meade to be involved in. And if those organizations are doing that particular thing that we have set that precedent, then that's what qualifies them through the application to receive those funds. That's my position.
Well, anybody that you give to, it just has to meet the public purpose test. Now, that's not to say that there can't be some incidental private benefit. So I want to make that very clear. Right? It does not state, in law that it has to be fully just completely public and it can't have any incidental private benefit. Mm-hmm. It can't have that. But wholly, yes, it has to meet a public purpose. That's for the city giving money, period.
Yes, but what I'm saying, as a commission, we should establish what it is that we are promoting, and then we encourage those entities that what we are promoting as a city. So if we're gonna back our youth leagues, I'm not referring to the high school team, cheerleader team, so on and so forth. I'm referring to our youth leagues because we have a funding problem with them, with those particular organizations. So as far as Project Graduation, that is a need where it is an entity of the school. It is not driven by the school, but it's the parents of that particular graduating group that is a need that they have to meet every single year. And so I know that is a heavy lift because I did it once and I'll be currently going through it again. And so those, yeah, wow, I'm gonna be done too after this one. And so those are entities that I feel the city should, this is me as one commissioner, should uh, have reserved in our budget and allocation for those particular entities.
I just like to add in, yeah, because you mentioned the leagues,
Mhm.
that we don't forget about the arts programs in our school. That is both our bands and our chorus programs that are in need of support.
But that would be the schools.
That would be
That would
school.
be schools.
So,
That's how
and you know, I do fundraising for the band too. So I'm not.
We've
I,
done, we
I
have
would
done
love
that.
to include
Yeah,
the band.
That's why you say.
I would love to. However, at some point, yeah, we're gonna go because this has to be chiseled out. So this is the place to do it. So I have personal interest in the band. I'm the band president, but I'm not advocating for the band because I'm trying to frame us as the city of Fort Meade. What is it that we as the city of Fort Meade are going to do? Are we going to do the school? Because guess what? What comes with the school? I'm gonna tell you, and I got to be upfront. Serving on the school advisory council, we have to pay the school to use their facilities. So, are we going to give to the organizations and then turn around and still pay to use their facilities? That's a decision we have to make. I'm the band president. That hurts me. I would love to be able to use that funding. But we have to set a precedent for how we're going to move. And that's the heavy lifting that we have to do as a commission. I'm just one person. So that's what I wanted to express, and maybe we can coalesce around something. Because as we move forward as one, then guess what? They wouldn't be able to pick us apart and say, this commissioner say do this, that commissioner say do that, da 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 da. We got to move forward with some type of vision. And that's my point.
And so creating a policy does that. If the commission votes on a policy, then, and you rely on the policy by which to give, what I have is we'll do an application process. So anybody can apply. And the application will be due by July 1. And then I'm assuming that, I'm not sure, I can't recall if the budget has any money in it this year for individuals to come up and ask for funds.
Well, no,
It does.
They had
Yeah.
a list of organizations that they were gonna
Yeah.
fund, and that's all we did.
So,
And then we cut those down.
okay. And so that's what I was thinking. So because of that, I mean, because of the way the budget is right now, organizations that are coming up to ask you right now, it seems like your hands would be tied anyway. You wouldn't be able to give it to them because there's no money there, right? So the city is financially not capable of being able to give that out. So if that's the case, this application process.
If I can interrupt, because of the fundraising that took place for that gala, there was $7,500 returned back to the city that we did not utilize. Of the $15,000 that was set for in our budget for the thing. So I know people keep saying 25, but at the end of the day, it was only 15, and then we only used half of that. So there's 7,500 that we could possibly redirect a portion of that, and I would love to see that redirected towards the project graduation. Not the entirety of it, but at least $1,000.
Well, we'll put the whole 7,500 into the budget item to allow for the people that want to come make a request to us.
Okay.
And we can address one-on-one issues as we have in the past. We have some budget amounts there to work with.
Okay, so it looks like you're directing staff to look at the funds that were given back from the Historical Society in the amount of $7,500 to be able to look and see if there is a way where some of those funds, and the staff can give you a report on how much of that can be utilized over as a line item to be able to give to organizations that come up and ask for money during this fiscal year. But we would then be making a application process for anybody asking for money outside of this fiscal year that would be due by July 1. And you do want to see it to have some type of review process with the staff that's here, right?
As Commissioner Williams said, not necessarily wanting to add an additional burden to the staff, but there are individuals we may can call on from the community that could oversee a review process. If the staff are willing to do it, I don't have a problem with it, but I still would like to make sure that it's not infringing on the productivity of the
You know,
staff.
one or two, you know, obviously.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, but you know, you're dealing with $7,500. You've stated publicly $7,500. I suspect that we'd have emails coming right after this meeting about this. So maybe we can have the attorney go ahead, because she's making notes on application, all that criteria. Let's get that buttoned up. We will at our next meeting on November 10th talk about how we're going to spend the $7,500. But let's get the process in place.
Yeah.
And then this $7,500, people know it. They can send an email, and we'll handle it on a case by case basis. The remaining part of money for FY26. So that's what I'd recommend we do.
I would like to invite individuals from the public to speak on this subject.
Okay.
Come on up.
I know you all get tired of seeing me come up here. Disparaging treatment. Y'all know what that is?
Tell us.
So how you gonna tell us, this group, no, we don't have the money? Katrina, I agree 100% with what you're saying. If we have a allotted amount of number, why don't we take the amount and just divide it equally? We got 10 grand. We got 10 people. It's $10,000. There is no more. We already know the city can't afford it. Every one of y'all know that. Everybody out here knows it. But nobody wants to talk about we can't afford it. We just want to see people come up here and ask for handouts. They just had a car wash not long ago. I sent 3 vehicles down there. It was $20 a piece. They can have more of those. They have the capabilities of raising money. My kids are graduating. What we do? We donated money. We gave money to them. We continuously give money. But when there's no money in the pot, there's no money. When it's empty, there ain't nothing in it but lint. I mean, y'all really got to think about that. Where does the money come from? We're going to raise the taxes? We're going to raise the electric bill another %? I mean, it's an option. You want to fund? We have to raise something somewhere. That's all I got.
Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead, Go ahead, Commissioner Shell.
Well, I'm gonna see get a hold of the fire department and tell them you see the fire coming from my house. That's me burning the internet here. But anyway, I agree with what Mayor Barron said wholeheartedly. That's our future, the seniors that graduated, and you know, I was involved in that in 2017, and it is a lot of work. And any bit of money they get, it goes to a good cause. And I think we should give them $1,000. And I understand money's tight. Don't misunderstand me. But this involves a lot of people, and that's one way that when they graduate, that's just thanking them for what they've done. And hopefully they'll get a job somewhere around here and contribute to our city. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Shell. Mr. McKenzie.
Stephen McKenzie, 528 South Seminole Avenue, Fort Meade, Florida. If you have an application process, 501c3 organizations, they apply. If you have funds and they meet your criteria, you give them money. If they don't meet the criteria, they don't get the money. That's basically simple. If you write a grant, you have certain things you have to follow. So if you have a 501c3 application process for nonprofit organizations, then on the other side, you have to do for individuals who apply for monies. So that kind of, you have a process in place that 501c3 applications apply and meet the criteria to get funding. If you don't meet the criteria, you don't get the money. So it eliminates all the personal issues that come with individuals who are trying to apply for money. Say for instance, I have a theater company and I write a grant to do a children's play or do children's readers theaters, and I submit that grant to the city, and you apply and you approve it, I get the money. If you don't approve it, I don't get the money, so I have to find it somewhere else. It's an easy process. You apply, they're approved, you get it, you don't, you don't.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on this topic? All right. All right. If there's no further discussion, we will make sure we can bring our workshops to a close.
No,
Oh, God.
This might be brief.
It's
This might be.
yeah.
Nope.
It's number 3C, short term rental. And so I can take that one. It just in sum, the city does not have any items on the books that predated the change in law regarding what we would call the say like Airbnb short term rental. So if a person wanted to Airbnb a property in the city of Fort Meade, then they could do so. The city of Fort Meade had one item in ordinance that talked about a few other things as far as inspections and different things like that. So, and that just applies to every, unit that's here that falls under that category. And so that would still apply. But other than that, there isn't anything that says on our books that a person cannot Airbnb a particular property. So that's permissible, and the city wouldn't be able to regulate it necessarily.
Thank you for that, and very clear. The one thing that I want to ask, and hopefully I'm asking it as clear as possible, regarding an ordinance or whatever exists. Does a municipality have legal standing to enter someone's home without their invitation, whether that is creating a reason to enter their home, as in a annual inspection or otherwise? Is there legal standing that allows a municipality to do that?
Well, I say that's kind of loaded.
We don't have to. If we don't have an answer tonight, we can address it for November. But I do want to put that on the table.
Yeah. Okay. And I think I do want to get a little bit more clarification on it from you. And this shouldn't take that long. Is it in relation to an ordinance that we have right now that's on the books? Because to be clear, if this was for safety, emergency stuff like that, of course there are things that you can do there. But you just mean
for a rental property.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And you, city manager.
Yeah. No. I think you are talking about a rental inspection program. Like if the city has a rental inspection program, we do have one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I want to make sure.
Obviously, if it's related to the rental inspection program, where you have an ordinance on the books that says that we can inspect every rental unit in the city every year. Okay. Well, we'll send out letters. We go through a process. Let's say that we schedule an appointment, but then the unit owner or the tenant says, "Hey, y'all can't come in here." Well, guess what? We can't come in. We have to go get a warrant. Okay. But what we would do is just fine the property owner for every day we have not inspected that place. And if we feel there's a health, safety, and welfare issue, we would take other emergency action to address it. That's kind of how we would approach something like that.
Understood.
Yeah.
And so what I'm asking is the legality of it. I understand that you can create the thing.
Oh.
I am asking about the legal standing of the thing.
So I'm gonna agree with Interim City Manager Brown. But what I want to do is bring that ordinance back out so that we can talk about it and flesh it out. And I'll give you probably a legal memorandum on it. And the way that he's stating it would be implemented is the city or city staff would not be going into your home or without permission. We wouldn't be knocking and entering and then just coming in, right? They wouldn't have a way to access it anyway. However, I believe what you're getting at is whether or not putting a fine on there would even hold up in court if it were challenged. Would the city be able to prevail, or what's the likelihood that the city would be able to prevail on keeping that in place and saying, hey, we can defend this and this fine is there because they refused to follow our local law. And ordinance is law. So the city can create local law, but I will go back and give you a memorandum on whether or not that local law is enforceable.
Yes.
That's another item.
That's another item.
Because I believe
have
that's what-
more, but
right.
I know Tom.
So I think that's what you're asking, right?
Yes,
That's
that is
enforceable.
what I'm asking, and other thoughts. But I will get with you with all
So
that.
that would also cover the legality of a rental inspection to rent the property right in the beginning, right?
Yes. I believe that's all in that same ordinance. Yeah.
It's all based on a
I know,
process,
like, when
and
I
if
rented
someone
property,
says
I
no,
had to, get the rental inspection.
we're trying to find out what happens and if it's legal.
Correct.
I got it. I understand.
Correct.
I understand.
All right, any discussion on short-term rentals? Anyone from the public would like to speak on item C? Come on up.
Jeff Morrell, 418 Northeast 4th Street here in Fort Meade. I think maybe I'm lost a little bit in the discussion. We were talking about short-term rentals, and then it kind of went another direction. But I was listening to the city attorney when she started her explanation to the commission, and she mentioned, I believe, Airbnb and like VRBO, and I guess the city doesn't have any regulations on the book for that. My concern as a lifelong resident of Fort Meade, the property next to me might have like a mother-in-law suite behind it. It's on single-family residential. But then this person decides, well, I'm going to make some money off of this. So let's VRBO it or Airbnb it. So there's going to be a one-night rental or a 5-night rental, and we're going to have people coming and going. If the city doesn't have any regulation, what does that do for property owners? How are we protected from having a constant parade of people coming in and out next to our residents that we've owned for 40 years?
It's a little bit challenging. The Florida statute, it was recently changed, and I'll give it to you. It's section 509.032, section 7, subsection B says municipalities are generally preempted, which means we can't, for prohibiting vacation rentals or regulating how frequently or for how long they're rented. So unless the city had already made something that stated what those restrictions would be, they can, and since it's not on the books already, they can't now go and do that. So you as a resident coming up and saying, I would like to see this happening or that happening, the commission would be precluded from even being able to make something like that. It wouldn't be enforceable.
Okay, so there's no way, there's not anything the commission can do to regulate that in Fort Meade.
No. And I think that's because it got really popular really fast and cities started regulating it and then they said no. So if they'll let you keep it if you already had something on the books. Before, I believe it was
2011.
July 1st, 2011. That was the cutoff. So whatever you had there to regulate Airbnbs or any short-term rentals before that time, they grandfathered in, they allowed it to stay. But if you did not have anything before that time, you can no longer put something out there as far as local ordinance regulate that space.
I learned something. Not really something that I like, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for the explanation.
But you can always contact your state legislature.
Yeah, well, that's
because that is their
Well, they tried
area
to
now.
defeat that
So,
again recently.
Yeah.
Failed again.
Come on up. Also, Ms. Rao, the Florida League of Cities, we have a legislative body with the Florida League of Cities that we create policy. So if that is a desire, then you would communicate with one of us. I've been appointed to the Planning and Zoning Board at the state level. And so then I would express whatever your views are in those meetings when we have them. Yes, ma'am.
But by it being a Airbnb, wouldn't it follow under fire marshal codes? Wouldn't you have to have a yearly inspection on that? Would that be the same thing as the city?
well, listen, here's what I'll say, case by case basis, because right now we're preempted from that. Okay, we do have a rental inspection ordinance that says we can. Now we gotta do an evaluation to see if it will hold up. I think it will, but legally we need to answer that question. So single-family homes, it's not an apartment building or 5 units or more. So the standards of fire marshal and all that is totally different than single-family home.
If there's no further discussion, Commissioner Shell, did you have anything you wanted to add to the discussion?
Yeah, I'm not, I know we probably can't do anything about it, but, some of the deputies on the ridge, I think it's Dundee or Jackson Report, so they just, every Friday and Saturday night, they just, one call after another from Airbnbs. The teenagers go in there and rent for a night or two, and all they do is party. So I just thought we'd keep that in mind. I don't know if we can do anything about it, but I know I don't want one right by my house. And Miss Rao, I know what she's talking about, and she does have a problem there, so I feel for her. And I wish we could do something. I hope our legislators can help us. But I just thought I'd throw that in. So
Gotcha.
it's a problem somewhere else too.
All right, if there's no further discussion, Commissioner Watts? Commissioner Williams? Commissioner McCutcheon?
None.
Okay, do you guys need a break or are we ready to go right into? Okay, so with that, we'll bring the workshops to a close. And thank you guys for participating. Let me get my next one. We will call to order at 6:58 our special city commission meeting, Tuesday, October 28th, starting at 6:58. Roll call. Do we need to do another roll call?
Yes, we do.
Roll call, city clerk.
Vice Mayor Shell,
President?
Commissioner McCutcheon,
Present.
Commissioner Williams,
Here.
Commissioner Watts,
Here.
Mayor Berrien.
Present. And we would,
Mr. Mayor,
thank you.
I think we need to make a motion.
Go ahead.
To ask for approval from the commission for Mr. Scow to attend remotely and to participate in the meeting, debate, and vote.
We have a motion. Do we have a proper second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a proper second to include Commissioner Shell to participate in this special city commission meeting via Zoom. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? None. Motion carries. We will move on to invocation. Commissioner Williams, would you? We will have our invocation by Commissioner Williams, and then following that will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessing of life, health, and strength. Thank you for this time that we have set aside for this special meeting. Allow us to discuss the business of the city with peace and with knowledge. In all things we give thanks. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams, for the invocation. We're going to go to public forum. Each person addressing the commission shall sign in with the clerk no later than 6:05 p.m. Person shall step up to the microphone, shall give his or her name and address in an audible tone for the record, and unless further time is granted by the commission, shall limit their address to 3 minutes. All remarks shall be addressed to the commission as a body and not any single member thereof. No person other than the members of the commission having the floor shall be permitted to enter into a discussion either directly or through the members of the commission. Do we have anyone signed in?
James Scarborough.
All right, come on up.
Good evening, James Scarborough, 1575 Mount Physical Road. Try to get through this as quick as I can. Hopefully I can get it in 3 minutes.
Go ahead.
I received my power bill for July, $352. I paid that bill. Then when I received my next bill in August, it says that I have a $151 negative previous balance. And I thought that was odd, but I went on, and so I received my next bill, and it said I had a $56 negative balance, and I'm not overpaying my bill. So I went down here to City Hall on October 6th, and I went to the window up front, lady on the left. I showed her all my power bills, and I said, what's going on here? And she said, oh, those are your solar credits, which I have solar on my home. We have had solar since March the 6th, 2019. I've never received a solar credit. And I said, okay, what's going on? She goes, the new person reviewing the electrical supply for the city said that you were due solar credits. And I said, well, what about all the solar credits since 2019? And she said, oh, we can only go back 6 months. And I'm like, that's unacceptable. I then received my power bill for this month, which was $312.36. And I went back and looked at my power grid. I can look at my power to see how much I produce each month on Apple, my phone. And I produced more power last month, which would be this current bill, than I did the month before. The month before I got a credit, this month I didn't, and I used less power. So there's something going on. And so I'm requesting an audit of my account. I think I'm fair in asking for that. I do believe that I have not been receiving solar credits at all since March the 6th, 2019. And so I'm requesting an audit of my account, and I would like to know, where I believe you owe me money. Secondly, and there's a copy of the bills. I put 2 on each page to limit the amount of paper you have in your hand. And the last thing my request is, where my house is located at 1575 Mount Pisgah Road. The next house next to me at 1833 Mount Pisgah Road has Peace River Electric. It is 708 feet away. I am not in the city limits of this town, and therefore I am requesting to be removed from your power grid. I would like to have Peace River Electric, and only way that I can communicate with them is for you to allow me to be removed from your grid. That's my request.
Have you followed up with anyone other than the individual at the front
I
desk?
have not, because I wasn't sure who I need to speak with. That's why I brought it to you to be addressed.
Okay. So we can direct you to staff, and they could.
So Mayor, Commissioners, I have not met with Mr. Scarborough yet, but I will do that. It can't be in the morning, but it'll be Thursday morning, if that's okay with you, sir.
Yes.
And I'll call you and set up an appointment, and we'll see that. Now, let me just let you know something. We've made some changes. I don't know how this impacts him or affects him. Okay, I'll find out. I'll let Mr. Scarborough know because this is a personal matter. I'll also back brief you guys, let you know through memorandum. Okay. Now we are in the process of dealing with territory agreements, and so it is not as simple as excluding someone because we provide territories outside of our municipal boundaries all the time. And so I'll look into that. I'll let you know that too. I'll also let Mr. Scarborough know that, but it'll be about Thursday morning. I'll call you.
It'll be perfect. This week or next week?
No, it'll be this week.
Okay, not a problem. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Very welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Ms. Patterson?
No, sir.
That was it. Okay. We will close public forum and move on to item E. 01 special presentation annual audit for fiscal year ended by James Moore and Company, PA.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. We'll have Mr. Brandon come up. He's our auditor. As you know, under statute, I think it's Florida Statute 287, you're required to do an annual audit, external audit. The auditor will take you through, your financial statements as well as the CRA as well. And so this is annual requirement. Now, I may have written to you and told you that we were late. It was due 9 months after we close the fiscal year. And so right now, this is hopefully gets closed out, and accepted, we can move forward.
Sorry about that. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Brown. My name's Brendan McKittrick. I'm a director with James Moore and Company. Is there a clicker or is it?
You just
Okay.
direct her to do it.
So what you have in front of you is a set of financial statements for the city, as well as a letter which required a communication and the printout of the PowerPoint presentation, which is also up on the TV screen. I'll be using the PowerPoint, really summarizes the items I want to talk about tonight. But before we do get into that, I did want to thank the Commission for the opportunity to perform the audit this year. I also want to thank your accounting staff, specifically Jennifer, as well as her help with Brianna and Mike. Every year you go through an audit, there's a lot of work. I know this year there was a lot of turnover, so that created more stress, and I'm sure on their plate. So I appreciate everything that they did, because it takes a lot of work to get to this point. If you want to move to the next slide. Yeah, perfect. One thing I like to remind the Commission is that these financial statements are your financial statements. However, as auditors, we include several reports in here as well, and this is really a slide summarizing those reports. The first report is your audit report in the front of your financial statements. This is where we express our opinion over really the reliability of those numbers that you're looking at in your financial statements. You do have what's called an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion. It's really kind of the best opinion we can provide over a set of financial statements. The second report, the single audit report. So since the city did have grant expenditures on the state side exceeding $750,000, there is additional testing that we have to perform. And this report's indicating that there are no issues of non-compliance, because we are required to look at compliance as well as controls related to grants. The third report, the internal control and compliance report. So as part of our process, we're required to understand internal controls with respect to financial accounting and communicate any issues that we may find as part of that process. So there are comments included in this report that I wanted to summarize for you all. The first one being the bank reconciliation process. So really, bank reconciliation is a key control as part of the accounting and finance function. So the bank reconciliation was performed, it was just performed late. And part of that key control is to make sure there's timely reconciliations that are being performed, because a lot of stuff's found as part of that reconciliation process, just to make sure, again, you're staying up to speed on those items. The second item is the utility billing. So as part of our process, we do a sample test over a sample of utility bills and recalculate that. We did have issues recalculating some of the utility taxes related to those bills, and that's really what that comment is. Again, making sure that management's able to, and staff are able to review, make sure there's good controls in place to, ensure that the rates being charged to citizens are kind of, again, in accordance to what you all have approved. The third item is the missing audit support. So I mentioned turnover in staff. As part of our process, again, we walk through various controls. There's several areas where we weren't able to get sufficient supporting documentation to basically validate those controls are in place. So not saying that the controls weren't there, but there was no support showing that they were in fact followed. So again, that's related to, again, making sure that we've got audit support. As auditors, we can't really just trust, we've got to verify as well. So again, that comment's related to the supporting documentation. The fourth item is purchase approval request. So again, we do a sample test over your disbursements. You do have a procurement policy basically saying there's certain levels of approval based on the threshold of purchases. Again, this is one where we requested supporting documentation showing the approval, and we're unable to obtain that supporting documentation. And then the fifth item is the manual journal entries. So similar to bank reconciliations, journal entries is an important part of the accounting function. So really having segregation of duties where there's at least two individuals as part of that process. We weren't able to, again, find supporting documentation showing kind of the review and approval of the journal entry process. And the other thing I'd like to note too, in the back of your financial statements, management does provide a response to all these items as far as how they plan on correcting the comments that we have in here. Moving to the next report, the Chapter 10 550 report or management letter to the Auditor General, there's some more required communication there as well. There is an area where we can provide other recommendations specifically for what they call improvements in financial management. So not issues in internal control necessarily, but again, additional items we think you all would want to, again, be aware of. The first item, internal service charges, there was a comment in your previous audit related kind of the allocation of how charges are being done between funds and really the methodology. Again, I'm going to reference kind of the turnover in staff as we asked those questions. If that had been resolved from the previous year, unfortunately it wasn't. So again, that's a repeat finding. The next item, budgetary compliance. So this is where we look at specifically on your general fund, your legal level budgetary compliance is at the department level. And that's where we compare your final budgeted numbers to your actuals. So there were a few departments, again, that were in excess of your budgeted amount. So that's what triggers this this comment for you all. And then the next item, reconciliation of account balances. So part of our process is we look at accounts payable and make sure cutoff.
So that what you're saying is matching what's on the screen.
Sorry.
Thank you.
It's the second slide.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So right now, I was talking about 2024 06 and 07.
Okay, thank you.
So again, this section of the report is just additional recommendations that aren't necessarily exactly related to internal controls. Sorry, I can't see the screen. Sorry about that. The 2024-008 is reconciliation of account balances. So really this has to do with cutoff related to accounts payable. So we do testing to make sure that invoices or certain expenditures are in the correct period. We did find a couple items in there. So again, there were some audit adjustments related to that. And that's really what that comment's talking about. It's just as part of the year-end process, making sure you're capturing all that activity. And then there's another section in the report, just other matters related to, we call it debt compliance, but as part of your debt agreement, there's certain calculations that are required to be made. Your staff made the calculations, however, you were in violation of the debt covenant. Really having to do with, and we talked about this as well, as you all did receive an SRF grant. Part of the debt covenant calculation pulls that debt amount into it, so it basically pushes you out of compliance. What's interesting with SRF, though, is there is generally a portion that's forgiven. So when this calculation gets done in the next fiscal year, so for FY 2025, most likely it's not going to be an issue, but because of the timing of when the debt was issued and when it hadn't been forgiven yet, it does create this comment. But your staff tracks that, it does calculate that. So it was one where they provided it to us, and again, we're required to communicate that to you all. And then the last report, the examination report, just indicating you are in compliance with specific state statutes. All right, do you mind moving to the next slide? Perfect. So looking at the numbers, your general fund, again, that's your main operating fund. This is kind of the different categories of your fund balance. And kind of looking at over the last 5 years, but specifically looking at 2024 compared to 2023, biggest change here is non-spendable. So that's really the advances between funds. So really the activity between the general fund with some other funds as well. And then overall, your total fund balance increased as well, related to some transfers that occurred from other funds into the general fund. If you want to move to the next slide. And what we look at here with those numbers is we take the assigned and unassigned fund balance and compare it to expenditures and transfers out as a percentage. So one of the organizations that we're involved with, the Government Finance Officers Association, or GFOA, recommends a minimum of 2 months, and think of that as a floor. So you don't want to go below the kind of the best practice of the 2 months, which is 16.7%. You all are, as you can see, about 22% increase from last year. The other things to kind of consider are, again, we are in hurricane season. There are times where you need some reserves in case there's emergencies. So again, just kind of keeping that in mind. But again, you all are above the kind of minimum threshold the GFOA recommends. Next slide, please. Now moving over to your business type funds or enterprise funds, again, this is just showing some of the changes from year to year on your unrestricted net position. The key piece to these funds is really what we like to say is this is half the picture. The other half is really that infrastructure providing those services to your citizens. That being said, the other piece we kind of look at is what were your capital asset additions? How do you reinvest in that infrastructure? So for FY24, you all had about $3.8 million in capital asset additions. Again, continuing to invest in those funds, and again, in line with what we would want to see. Because unfortunately, we can only see the numbers. We can't see the state of the actual, kind of the infrastructure itself. Next slide, please. And then some other highlights. You all do have a fire fund for FY24. It did have a fund deficit balance related to some capital outlay activity. If you looked at 2023, you all had capital outlay activity there as well. However, you had some transfers to kind of support that. So again, that's just highlighting some of that activity. Stormwater fund, that is a restricted fund balance of about $485,000, pretty consistent with the previous year. And then the CRA, again, a special revenue fund that you all have, about $1.5 million. And as Mr. Brown mentioned, there is a separate audit that we issue related to that as required by the state. There is one comment in there, but it's the same comment that I mentioned with the city, which is the bank reconciliation process. So that did impact the CRA as well. Next slide, please. And this is just highlighting you all do have, 3 pension plans, the general, police, and fire. Those numbers are provided by a third-party actuary. Those are included in your financial statements. So this is really just showing what those net pension liabilities or assets may be that are included in your financial statements and kind of the funding percentage. But again, that's driven by the actuary report that we receive. And I'll stop. I know that was a lot of information there, but open it up to any questions you all may have.
Any questions? Commissioner Shell, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. We can continue.
Well, I got a question. So the question is, do you you've done an audit for this year. This is your first year on this engagement. Do you see any GASB pronouncements that would affect us in next year? And can you also talk about some of the expenses that occurred, due to, what is the main concern for the budget, the audit right now?
So the first item, yes. So fortunately or unfortunately, the standard bodies that we follow is GASB. They seem to think that we need more pronouncements to follow. They seem to think that your financial statements aren't big enough, so we have to continue to make them bigger. But in all seriousness, there is one for FY 2025 related to compensated absences and how that's being calculated. We will provide guidance to the city as well as all our other clients, really to kind of help with that. Biggest thing there is just how we're capturing specific leave. Generally speaking, it's the deputy, the sheriff's office, the police, where they have a variety of different types of leave that historically haven't been captured. Now that the new pronouncement for FY 2025, some of that's going to be captured this year. So really just kind of calculating what that liability may be for the city. But again, we'll provide guidance on that. And then I guess to your second question, this is unfortunately something we're seeing more and more, as far as municipalities and clients that we work with, where audits are becoming delinquent. And I'll say from my experience, a lot of it has to do with staff. So when you have turnover in staff like you all did, generally it's not a plug and play situation. Generally it's, a few steps backwards, because you all, like other cities, there's a lot of different things going on. In the accounting and audit piece, it's important, but there are other fires that have to be put out. So the biggest factor here is having staff and keeping staff for over periods of time, because when you lose people, that experience and familiarity with the city, it's just a big lift. So again, I thanked Jennifer earlier, but it's a lot of work. We ask them a ton of questions. I'm sure she can tell you. It's just, there's a lot of work that goes into that. So, someone like her, if she were to walk out, which you're not allowed to, but it just makes things a lot more difficult on our side and on the city side as well. So again, having the staff and supporting the staff, that's the biggest key to success, I think, for the audit.
And it was something that the mayor brought up a while back when he talked about, and I heard the mayor, this is when I first came on board, he talked about when mistakes are made at City Hall, what is the cumulative effect of that? How much did that mistake cost us? And so, not only just turnover, it was also just being technically knowledgeable, do your job. Because if we hire people and they make a mistake, we could be into the $500,000. You've seen that already. I'm sorry. You've already seen that. We're in the $500,000 range. And so, it kind of ties into talent acquisition, how much we pay employees that work here, current and future employees. So we have to try to hire the best person for the job based on their background, their experience, and those kinds of things. They will yield results, and then keeping them in play for 2 or more years so you can get some mileage out of them. Okay? So that. Yeah.
Well, and just to add to that too, the accounting profession in general, it's people aren't getting into the accounting profession, and accounting in government even less so, because you all are competing against firms like us. We're having to hire, and we're having to, again, trying to entice people to come work for us, and we have significant salary costs. And again, we're trying to compete with kind of the other market players, but you all are going against us and other firms as well. So it's a challenge. I mean, that's the struggle too, because we don't like having delinquent audits either. We want to be on time as well. We want to try to provide solutions. It's just hard.
Gotcha. So this is not necessarily a question, but in times past, we all as commissioners had the opportunity to sit down with our auditors and be able to discuss it in detail. And so I don't know what's the next time frame, but we would definitely
listen,
want
this
to
is your
implement
auditor.
that.
If you want to talk with him, you just call him on the phone. Okay?
Yes.
He works for the city, but it's really you and the auditor.
Yes.
The staff is just here to, provide information and let him look at it. There are things that I don't agree with. You've heard them, so it's whatever you want. I would just ask that, you be respectful of their time. And so if you're going to meet with them, it'd probably be virtual or telephone call or whatever.
Yeah.
So
We would be happy to. And again, that's one where we generally want to do that. I think due to the, again, us being late, there was kind of, hey, let's expedite this. Let's get this wrapped up and issued. But by all means, Mayor, if you want to have a call, with me or even Hillary on our team, we'd be happy to go through the financials. There's a lot in here, and there's, a lot for us to try and communicate, as far as staff and ourselves as auditors. But yeah, we'd be happy to go through. And again, we like to do that as well in one-on-one setting, because you can ask any question. You don't have to get into specifics or whatever it may be.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Shell,
Yes, sir.
anything for the auditor?
No, sir.
Anything, guys?
I'm good.
Is there any questions or concerns from the public? No? Thank you for the presentation.
I appreciate it.
thanks, Brandy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll thank you.
extras.
Oh, also. Yeah. Thank you.
I think we have to receive.
You said we need one?
I think we have.
A motion to receive the audit?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Perfect.
All right. I entertain one.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to receive and file the presentation from James Moore and Company, PA.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second to receive the presentation presented on tonight regarding the audit. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? None. Motion carries. Moving on to item E2.
A resolution number 2025-108, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, establishing a code enforcement lien mitigation policy, providing for compliance requirements, settlement agreements, cost recovery, and forgiveness guidelines, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We met earlier in our work session, and we also spoke briefly about this at a previous meeting. Based on this resolution that the city attorney just read out, there were, a number of discussions. We know that one commissioner had discussion of extending the expired resolution. We had a commissioner that talked about zeroing out all of the liens. Then we had, a couple of the commissioners, including you, Mayor, that talked about, let's come up with some structure here in the current one. And so we're here now. And we can get down to, okay, so what I think I heard, and I'm sure she's, the city attorney, she can correct me and fix it, okay? But what I heard that if you look at section 1 of paragraph 3, that we could include 10% of the original lien amount. So we strike in 10%, write in 10% but no more than $10,000. Okay. And this would be, the person would have to bring it in compliance and comply with all these different things. They could pay within 45 days. We changed it from 30 to 45 days. This is just the proposed draft. And then, and that's it. That's this. Or we can have a motion, see where that goes, or we do another motion to extend the approving an extension of the expired resolution regarding this matter, and for 1 year. And we can do that. Or we can do another motion that says, hey, we're going to zero out all liens, period. So I guess, Commissioner Watts, you want to go first?
No, you want got to say.
Okay. All right.
Let's do this. Let's allow the public to go ahead and comment.
Floyd Nelson, 151 Sand Mountain Road. I took the time to figure out Mr. McKenzie's debt on his. 1.9 million is what has accrued from 2004 until now. Sorry about this. Mr. McKenzie, do you have 10 grand to pay for this cap? Me either. That's a hard ask for 45 days. Whenever we're trying to get this property in compliance, I'm not asking for a free pass. Understood. What I'm asking is to be fair with me and Mr. McKenzie, the same treatment that was done with the previous people. If we got denied, why wasn't and I don't know if my sister-in-law was told why we were denied. Mm-hmm. But at that point, we're in violation of code. Why wasn't there a sign placed in that yard saying, this is your problem, fix it? Then whenever we rode by, we'd be able to see it and say, okay, yeah, okay. And it was denied because of hedges being too tall. It takes about 45 minutes to trim them. If we knew that, we could have addressed that and been done with it and moved on. Mr. McKenzie said his property is because of high grass. Mr. McKenzie, I'll come and mow it for you if you need me to get this dropped for you. We got to be realistic. 10 grand because of grass and hedges? Come on, man.
All right. Next person.
Stephen McKenzie, 528 South Seminole Avenue. These properties were in compliance with the material that I received. The building was torn down. Both buildings were torn down. The grass has been mowed every day since then. 2004, 2009, this is 2025. I thought this was taken care of. I cannot find receipts. I'm still looking, but I was understanding that this was resolved. But then I get this information that is still on the books for $250 a day. I can't have that. I think this should be.
Did someone contact you with that, or how did you get this information?
I got this information.
How did you come into the knowledge of that it wasn't resolved?
It came in the mail.
Okay. So I wonder if that was as a result of the last amnesty program?
I got both of these stating that this was going on. These properties were. Cozy Inn was the only place in Fort Meade where people voted before they had the community center.
Your letter, Mr. McKenzie, that you received, what was the date on that letter you got in the mail? The last correspondence from the city of Fort Meade.
1/30/2025.
Okay, yeah.
So that's from the last.
Yeah. Last
I
amnesty.
don't have the date for this one.
Okay.
But the reason I'm saying is those buildings were very historical for the city. It was the first place where there was a pool room in the black community and where we voted. The other place was a rooming house for men. When that house was put under violation, we tore it down. And the grass has been mowed by one of the kids in the neighborhood because he parks his car there. The other one is on 4th Street, and it's the same reason kids park there, so they cut the grass for me. I don't have to worry about it. But I'm just concerned that this is still there. It's in compliance. There's no building. There's no grass. So you want 10% of what? I don't have it. Or whatever you decide, I have no monies to pay that.
Gotcha. And for clarity, this was moving forward.
Yes.
Because they were supposed to be you guys were supposed to get in contact with the city and show your documentation, and then if those qualify to be whatever the next step is, then the city attorney will make that determination, because you're saying the date that it was assigned, correct?
I had an assignment.
The date that this letter you received was issued to you. All right. But yes, those fees have been assigned to that property.
Yes.
What we're talking about. But you are to provide that information to them so that they can discover whether or not that is a legitimate, accurate assessment.
I apologize. I wasn't aware of that.
It's all right. So that's where we are with your particular property.
Okay.
And then what we're voting on is moving forward. This is going to be the policy we are setting to move forward.
Okay.
However, what we may do is honor what Commissioner Williams and Commissioner Watts both said, or we may move in the direction of having some type of fund recuperated as a result of these properties. Because what we have to do, and it's difficult. I wish we could just do it with everything, but we have to set something in place that will discourage individuals from allowing their properties to get to the point of fines and fees in the first place. And so if we just wipe, we're gonna have to continue to wipe, and then you'll have a whole new commission up here dealing with the same issues that we're dealing with now as a result of this not being addressed in the first place.
I was not aware that I was supposed to provide this information. And my question is, how many other people in my situation don't know they need to do that?
Well, so let me answer that. What we're doing is gathering a database. They will reach out to the address, the person on record. If that person has passed away, so on and so forth, the city has done their due diligence to reach the person on record to notify them that they have the ability to do so. Commissioner Williams actually recommended doing a town hall, right? We may have the ability to put something in our utility bill, something to refer to that. And if you have questions, call City Hall. So we're going to take the necessary steps to make sure that we do our due diligence with informing, right? Making sure that we inform, but we are only limited to informing the person on record.
Okay.
If it's multiple of you guys, multiple people will get that information. Not necessarily you guys, but multiple individuals on that property will get that information.
Okay.
All right?
I will
So
provide
that's
this
how we'll move
information.
forward
Okay.
with the notification. At least that's the steps we're going to take a stab at.
Thank you.
All right. If no one else, we'll close this and can entertain a motion.
Great. I just what I would like to, in addition to what you shared, Mr. Mayor, I think, forgive me, I don't remember his name. He came before us last time. He provided us proof that he had been reaching out to the city and hadn't received any correspondence. So, Mr. McKenzie and others, I know that they may have been making some effort to mitigate their situation with no success, which is why I would like to make a motion that we extend an amnesty program that is to be outlined and presented to the commission through October 31st of 2026. Okay. And on November 1st of 2026, that a code enforcement lien mitigation policy could take effect.
Okay, well, we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second? Question.
Okay. If we're extending the previous lien amnesty program through 10/31/26, how can the new lien mitigation program be in effect January 2026?
No, I think,
No.
I think,
Yeah.
I think what I'm
We will
hearing
be
is
moving forward after that.
November 1st. This would go
November
into
1st.
effect November 1st, 2026. But we
Correct.
need-
Did I say? I
second
may have
part.
said the wrong yes.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know if I said the
But
wrong.
we need to discuss this detail here. We need to discuss, are y'all in discussion now?
Yes, we're in
Yes.
discussion.
Okay, so we need to discuss this
And I
application
saw
up to
that
10% versus.
the attorney.
I would just say for clarity, can we have two
Separate. Yep, I
separate
got it.
motions?
Okay.
And because I believe, I don't know if you want to keep this
I
one,
got it.
the second one as it was in full, or make changes to it as you guys had outlined in your discussions before.
I thank you. I would like to amend the motion that I put forth, if possible, and would like to make a motion that we extend our lien amnesty program.
With the sunset date that expired already.
Correct. With the sunset date that has expired, and that we would extend it for 1 year, that would go through October 31st of 2026.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a proper second?
So I will, Mr. Mayor, I think I need to rescind my first second, or do I? The first original motion, but he modified it.
Yeah, he modified.
But it just move straight to a second motion.
Yes, sir.
I'll move, I'll second.
All right. So, we have a motion and a second to extend the amnesty program that sunsetted
June 30th.
June 30th, to carry out to extend it until October 31st of 2026. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? None, motion carries. All right.
Can I tag on one thing? Here's what I'd like from the attorney, from city staff. If the inside of this amnesty program, application and otherwise, that we can have clearer communication, a very clear phased approach, so that all residents can understand what the process is, what the time frame of communication will look like, if that can be provided to the commission for review.
So just to clarify it, because Mr. Brown will take the lead on that part, because that's operations with staff, but he would go back at some point before the November 10th meeting. He would look at the prior program that was in place, and then he would disseminate that out to everyone and let you guys know the manner in which that's going to be handled at that November 10th meeting.
And to add to that discussion, what we did last year, we had a town hall. So we did attempt to reach the masses through a town hall, and then they sent out notifications via certified mail. Correct. That's what I thought had taken place. And so, in addition to that, I would like to see it put on our Facebook, our social media, because I do see that we have quite a good following, the City of Fort Meade social media. And then, what's the other method? Possibly
Utility bills.
add it to a utility bill for a certain amount of months or possibly just have it as a note up there for the duration of the extension.
A question for you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Is there any merit to reaching out to religious communities here where people gather? I don't know if that's possible where the city can
Like an outreach.
get outreach and then we know it can reach the congregations that way.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I don't mind assisting with that and utilizing we have some organizations in the community that already have all of those contacts anyway too. So we can utilize those. And ask all of our partners to also mention it as they communicate with the people they provide services to. So we could have a full court press on that. Now, where did we land? Did we have a motion in a second?
Yes.
Okay. But no, we didn't. We're on the second one, right?
So
the
the
first
one already passed and
Yeah.
closed.
Correct. We're talking about the new one.
If there's a motion made,
We haven't had that.
no, sir.
Okay. But we wanted to include, and if everybody's going to move in there, the dates and the time, the dates and the amounts, the number of days and amounts, if that makes sense.
Correct. So what I would like to do, please
Go ahead.
assist me where you can.
Go.
I would like to get any thoughts?
Well,
or should,
yeah.
should we delay and
I'm-
make a second move?
I mean, I do have some thoughts on it. So the commission can do what they want, but usually these programs are for, again, a very short window. So even allowing it 4 years is very gracious of the commission, and it's forward thinking. But the commission can't always, since a motion has been made, the commission can't always revisit this, next year. But you can put it into place right now. I mean, you've already voted in a policy for a year, so now you're voting in a policy for the year after this coming year, and I think it is not as necessary.
Well, I tend to agree. I think that we may want to change what we came up with based on what this extension plays out to us.
I think you could remember that whatever you vote in, you could always take back as well, right? So it just requires doing another resolution. But because of that, if you have a policy that you voted in place and it is there for an extensive amount of time in relation to these type of programs, I think you may want to get that data, because I was here on the back end of it when you guys talked about what happened with the program a little bit, and a lot of it seems like it wasn't as clear. So I would think if the staff has to have time to go back and look at that and disseminate that out, you really didn't get that report that I think was going to come forth from Mr. Drumgo, where he said, let me give you the pros and the cons of that program. That was supposed to come up to you around this time. That didn't happen. So you may want to look at that first and get that feedback before you implement just a blanket, let's go with another mitigation program right after that, and you haven't had any time to do any additional discussion on if what you have in place really does work now with these added oversight provisions that you want to have.
So let me ask this. There are policies that we implemented. We gave the city manager certain authorities to negotiate different things. So my question is that still in process, and do we need to rescind that?
If you haven't done anything to rescind it already by resolution, and if it relates to this right here, then it would go back and revert to whatever that resolution was, which is why Mr. Brown is going to go back and look at it, pull it up, and get it back out to you.
Yeah, we did. It was in regards to how we assess the fines, hard and soft costs, what that's reduced down to, and all that kind of stuff.
And-
So we've had a couple of those.
But we had given the city managers certain powers to negotiate things.
That's what I'm saying.
This happened under Jan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That, to my knowledge,
Okay. So we need
that
to rescind
was
that. If
revised more than once.
Okay.
And the last one, I think Mr. Brown discovered it, and
There's like two of them.
right,
yeah, I know it was.
right.
One took place under Danielle Judd,
Mhm.
and then another took place under Jan Bagnell. Right,
And,
two
and the
different
one
city
that
managers.
we're talking about extending is the June 30th deadline.
And this right here is actually amnesty. That was
No,
a
I'm saying,
policy
I know.
for
I know, but we
getting yes.
that's why we're having this meeting now, because the city attorney, and I both think that we should clean it up, and
Mhm.
because there was two ordinances, two resolutions, and there was confusion when I got on board. I thought that one was still hot and the other,
Mhm.
but I later learned that that's why we're trying to clean it up right now.
Okay. So just for clarity, because I got a little bit confused, there is no overlap. At the last meeting, you guys gave the city manager the authority to go through, look at any old, outdated, and expired liens, to go through that process, send them to me, and then we can get rid of those if it's possible. And then you've now voted in to extend your lien amnesty program, which is different from the other liens. So everything is addressed now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Now,
There isn't any other action that you have to take on that in regards to it, since a motion did come up out of what we were talking about. So that's all. We can go to the next agenda
item
item.
E4.
Resolution number
I'm
2020.
sorry. I skipped 3.
Okay.
Lord help me.
Resolution number 2025-109. A resolution of the city of Fort Meade, Florida, establishing administrative departments under the supervision of the city manager, providing for organizational structure and responsibilities, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
Yeah, Mayor, members of the commission. This item is to establish operating departments for the city. As you know, historically, the departmental structure has evolved through practice, and there are a number of things that I'd like to try to ensure that we can organize while I'm here, because I think it's important. It will help inform our organizational structure and how we assign work out to the departments. It will clear up some confusion about, the city manager's role and responsibilities as it relates to these departments. And so there is in your packet our recommendation that we adopt a resolution setting forth the departments of human resources and risk management, fire, police, public works, parks, utilities, city clerk's office, library department, IT, central services, police. So what we are doing is we are organizing the workflow, but creating departments that probably should have always been created, honestly. And just we need it, because right now, since I've been here, I've seen, a couple of org charts working with Miss Nelson, and this is something that needs to happen like ASAP. There's inconsistencies in your charter, and what this does is provide staff guidance at a high level so we can operate under these departments properly without short sight.
What are some of those inconsistencies?
Well, you have in your charter, you have a department called clerical. Okay, so you have, if I put together an organizational chart right now, I put an organizational chart said clerical, sanitation, things that you don't have. And I understand that there's been organizational charts. Please don't confuse organizational chart with organizational structure in this resolution. This resolution sets forth departments. And so those departments can be moved around and replaced under different people. But this is the thing that you should do. Departments and titles. You've seen since I've been here, there was a position created, and those positions are always created by the city commission, not by the manager. Okay, and so these are some of the things that have happened, and so some of the things that I see that needs to be fixed ASAP. Human resources. Okay, there's in your ordinance, there's this thing called the job classification plan that has to be approved by the city commission. And it's always done and updated when there's a new employee, a new position inserted in that plan. Okay. And so during our budget process, we found out there were changes in names and things like that, but the position was approved. So you know, not the, that's a whole nother situation. I'm really asking that these departments be approved so that way we can build our work plan and workflow around these departments. So departments might not be, they might not be staffed, but at least the departmental structure is there. Right now, so let's say community development department, that's planning and zoning. These are things of that nature, code enforcement, those kinds of things. Right now, they fall under the reporting of the city, the deputy city clerk. The deputy city clerk is the person responsible for planning and zoning, those kinds of things. Now, she is responsible for providing support to it. But as you can imagine, the deputy city clerk managing planning and zoning, okay, it's dangerous, okay, and mistakes can be made. All right, there are people that, you know, we have the Central Florida Regional Planning Council, and they do a good job for us for what we pay, okay. But now we're headed toward development, and when those things start happening, we need someone skilled in that area. I'm not saying no disrespect to our deputy clerk; she does a good job for us. We want her focused on providing that service. I attended a planning board meeting here a month ago, last month, and I saw that the planning commissioners were involved in very detailed things that I had never seen before. I mean, they did a good job because they did research. It was on, I think, flag lots or something like that. And so, you know, they need guidance. They need someone that's skilled enough to make recommendations to them, so it helps inform what their outcome or their decision will be. So we need someone in that area. I mean, I saw them struggle one night to make a decision, and I just decided I was going to say something. And I asked that you know, that to tell them that you don't have to approve any of this. You know, they thought they were forced to do something that they ultimately they came to a decision. But we need someone in these areas. So if this informs a larger issue, and it will help the organization. So my recommendation is that we approve this resolution, 2025-109.
All right.
If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to.
Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
What positions are you gonna add when you get this?
Yes. So
This resolution's passed.
yes, sir, Vice Mayor. This item requires no positions. We're not asking for any positions. All we're asking for is this structure be in place so that we can assign work in the right departments, and with the existing staff, they will deal with those issues. Okay?
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions or comments from the public regarding this item? Nope. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution 2025-109.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R 2025-109. Any question?
Questions, like,
Go ahead.
in this org chart, it takes electric out from under the city manager.
Yes. So every person reports to the city manager. This department will report through a department that I'd like to see created, or the next manager would create, where we have a public works and utilities director. That person doesn't exist now, but those folks would report to that person. Right now, we have a skills gap. Got a good electric director, definitely super confident, but we have some things that we need to look at long term. Okay, and so fees and all these other things. I mean, impact studies, you know, long term capital improvements, and so these are things right now that I don't think that I've seen any capital improvements out of Public Works, electric, water and sewer, other than our SRF emergency loan fund on an emergency basis.
Correct.
We should have a capital improvement plan that's a 5-year plan that's fiscally constrained to a budget, and we should set it up in a manner that it's paid for each year until we get the requisite money to do that work. And this normally comes from the department. And, you know, I feel strongly about this because I know that, you know, there are gaps here. Okay, and don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I just want to make sure that the structure is set up for success for you. And so that no one's wondering who does what. Because right now, that's what happens now. So, you'll see the next item that we'll go to that we can talk about it then, but it'll have a different reporting structure if and when that happens. But right now, that department would fall under, it'd be a division, and it'd fall under Public Works and Utilities.
Okay, so we
I'm
have,
just not convinced on that, on you starting to combine, enterprise funds areas into the general budget area. Are we gonna lose oversight in there?
No, sir.
I know FNPA on 2 different occasions recommended that we used to have an extra code
Yeah.
in the public works,
Yes.
and they recommend we get it out of there.
Yeah. So what the
And we
commission,
did,
so what the commissioner, I think he's saying, he's talking about a enterprise fund or proprietary fund. It's different than what this is. So, but we need to, I agree that we need to, set up an enterprise fund, ensuring that it's a separate fund, which it probably is already, and that if the city makes loans or requests funds from it, there is a policy on how we do that that's approved by this board. And so it's probably set up that way now, but it's not. This is not about budget or protecting the financial corpus or anything like that. This is about reporting. So.
I personally think a lot more thought needs to go into this, my research. I see calls for transparency, confidence, in numerous places. I'd like to look at it longer. We'll have a vote this up to the others.
so we've gotten a motion and a second, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so, Commissioner Shell,
Yes, sir.
we're in discussion. Did you have anything to add?
Well, I kind of agree with Commissioner Watts. I haven't really had a lot of time to look at it and study it, but I don't think we need a public works director, but that's just my opinion. We've got enough employees now, as far as I can see. But I'd have to vote against it right now, and until I got to look at it first.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Just for clarification purposes, it's not about adding new positions. It's similar to this organizational chart is similar to that of what we're used to. We're used to at the Polk County Sheriff's Office. They have one. Just about every governmental entity have one. Organizational structural chart. So the rank and file, so what different persons are heads of departments and so on and so forth. That's really all this is. I haven't heard he confirmed that he wasn't adding any positions. That's not what this is. It's just organizational structure so that those who are heads of departments and the people who work underneath them know what their assigned duties and responsibilities are and who they are answering to. Would that be correct, Mrs. Nelson?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely correct.
That's all this is. Because
Right,
without it,
I know what an organizational chart is, but he also made a statement he wanted something to report to a public works director, which we don't have. He said he wasn't going to add one. Well, why did he bring that up? He said he wanted them to report to a public works director.
Okay.
Yeah. So
He's not going to add it right. He's not going to add it right now.
Just-
He'll add it.
yeah, just so we're clear, it's just creating departments. It's not creating a position that any new position will require city commission approval. This is just departments. I was just trying to explain kind of right now what we're having is this. We will have the interim public works director go over there and do street repair. Next week, we'll have the water and sewer director go over there and cut into the street to get to whatever without talking to the public works director. This is occurring in your city right now. They don't talk like that. I know you're saying, yeah, they do, but they don't. And so forget the people for a minute. I'm not asking for personnel. I'm not trying to set anything up for somebody down the road. You currently have this position in your job classification plan called Public Works Director. Okay. I didn't want to go into that because I want to focus on just this is just departments, not personnel. Okay. Rock Island is your interim Public Works Director. Okay. He's actually the Parks and Recreation Manager, I believe. That's his real title. Okay. And so, but he's been acting in an interim role. So I'm not talking about employees. I'm talking about just creating the structure so that when we have issues, we send it to the Public Works and Utilities Department. They figure it out. Okay. They assign it wherever it goes. Because right now what's happening is we have folks that say, I don't do that. I'm the field guy. You know, the manager does the administrative stuff. And I'm saying, where's that happening at? Okay. I'm trying to solve problems, not create them. Okay. And this was not just done by me. We worked on this, the HR director and I. We looked at other cities and see what they were doing with here in Polk County around this area, not Miami, not Pensacola, here. And so if you go look at this structure in other places, you'll see similarities, probably almost called the same name. And so that's all I say. If you guys want to table it, we can table it. I'm just trying to help here.
It's a motion. It's a motion. Go in a second.
Now, understanding, you create the departments. Does that also go to adopt this org chart?
No, it doesn't adopt the org chart. I gave that as an example. So, like, you have a department called police here. We don't have a police department, right? But we do have a police department because we pay police pensions from the previous police department. See how this stuff can get lost in somewhere else? But right now we've outsourced police to the sheriff's office. We have a police department, but it's outsourced to the sheriff's office. See, that's why it needs to be here so everybody knows that we have a police department. It's been outsourced to the sheriff's office. Something could happen. Let's say that the city ends up saying, we like the sheriff, but we'd like to do our own thing. You could do that again. And you'll have the structure right there in place if you want to do it. Okay? Not even won't. We're very satisfied with the sheriff's office. And there's no problems with the sheriff's office whatsoever. And I'm not saying that that's what I'm thinking or anything like that. I'm just trying to organize the place so that everybody knows. That's it.
Mr. Brown, and I'd like to clarify the Public Works position, Mr. Jackie Cannon, we have that position, like Mr. Brown said, open and it is budgeted for. So even if we did hire a Public Works director, it's currently in the budget.
I understand that.
Okay. So if the discussion is over, we will move forward. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign?
Aye.
Aye.
So let the record show 3-2. Motion carries. Okay. Item E4.
Resolution number 2025-110, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with HME Professional Services, LLC, for owners as representative services for the multi-purpose community center/library project, providing for an effective date.
Yes, Mayor Commission, as you know, you have a City Future project. It's the multi-purpose community center library project. Right now, it's being managed by Amy Wheeler and Kylie Short, our library director. There are a number of things that are occurring with this project. It's funded by the Florida Commerce Department. We have technically started late. We entered into a contract with Bodum Construction, which is the general contractor that's doing the work out there. that contract started late, meaning that we executed late. The schedule is compressed, and our deadline to be substantially complete with this project is October 1st. Okay, so I sent an email to Florida Commerce requesting that we use money to bring on an owner's representative for a number of reasons, and that is to make sure that the project gets stay on task and get done. And of course, because of turnover and because of skills gap and because of these things. So we requested it from Florida Commerce. They said they will pay for it. We did a solicitation. We got 2 proposals back. We had a small committee that ranked them and looked at them, and we are recommending that HME Professional be awarded this contract, and the mayor be authorized to execute a contract with them. And this is our recommendation. And so, if you have any questions, be more than happy to. Yes.
Any questions regarding?
Yes, just one. What is their on-site participation look like inside of the span of this project?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Thank you. So the goal is, right now we're meeting like Teams and Zoom, okay? But the owner's rep will be here once a month to come brief you guys on what's going on with the project. So you'll have somebody that'll sit here with the public in the background, walking you through what's going on out there on site. Right now, and our staff is hardworking, they're trying to pay attention, but if you don't know what certain things are, you can make a mistake. The contractor was due to provide us 30% construction documents on October 8th. We got them on today. Okay. They claim that they provided that information to you. Now, I'm not saying they're fabricating anything. I think they're a good company, but I did not know that those documents, they're real documents. It's not just a show here.
Or presentation.
Someone from the city needed to receive those so we can review them. And we could have started that review 2 weeks ago. They can't start to the next phase until that review occurs. So we're sitting with stuff in our email and we don't know what we're looking at, and we don't know that we got to review this stuff and say, yes, authorize, go. Yes, go. And so, as you can imagine, what can happen at the end of the project when they're behind. They can say that they sent this on this date and that someone didn't know. So, answer your question, I'm long-winded. They'll be here, once a month to update you guys on the progress of that. Period. Okay.
On site daily?
No. They'll be here once a month to update the city commission.
How often
They will
will
not.
they be on
They,
site?
they will not be on site daily. That will be the superintendent. So.
Any questions or concern from the public? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution R 2025-110.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second to approve resolution R 2025-110. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? No, none. Motion carries. Moving on to item E5, resolution R 2025-111.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of Polk County for the community center located at 103rd Street Southwest, Fort Meade, Florida, providing for terms and conditions, providing for administration, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Mayor, Commissioners, this item came before you back on October 14th, and it was tabled to be further discussed at this meeting, and so that's why this is back on the agenda.
I do have a question regarding, is the city still subsidizing utility costs for the Boys and Girls Club?
Yes, sir, we are.
Okay, why?
I would bring that back to previous commissioners and.
So I could speak to it. How that original agreement went into play is the Boys and Girls Club, in addition to utilizing the building, still wanted a monetary contribution. And so what the administration at that time did was, okay, for the cost of utilities, so on and so forth, we continue to pay that. They then said, this is the monetary contribution that we're providing you guys. So that they just monetized the utilities and then said, this is what we're paying the Boys and Girls Club. And at some point, Mr. Giordano they still wanted a monetary contribution in addition to that.
Okay, so I just want my opinion, my thoughts to be on the floor. I'm not in favor of the city continuing an agreement where we are subsidizing the utility costs of the Boys and Girls Club. I understand if that was the approach for enticement or to get them here. I don't think that it's fiscally responsible that we continue to subsidize their costs, as well as the rent is $5 a year. Okay. So I know it's not explicitly stated. I do see where it says the budgetary impact, that this information is not shared, that we're subsidizing the utility costs, but it does impact our budget. So Mr. Mayor, I just want to share that.
Any questions or concerns from the public? Come on up.
So what I just heard is we're paying the Boys and Girls Club to be here.
No, we're not.
We're monetizing them to utilize our building for $5 a year. That's what I heard. Did y'all hear that? And then we're going to pay the utility bill for them. How about subsidizing our utility bill? It's no different.
Any other question and concern from the?
We don't pay their whole utility bill. And I would like her to kind of have Jennifer expound on that really quick. So
We, in the contract that was signed by the previous administration, it was stated that we pay up to $1,000 of the utility bill. Anything over $1,000, they have to pay. I have looked at previous years and compared them. Usually in the summer months, we all know it's super hot. That's whenever they do go over the $1,000, and so they do pay. This previous month they paid $337. Their bill was $1,300. So they do pay anything over $1,000.
Gotcha.
And just for clarity, as I have many celebrity friends and associates who are connected to Boys and Girls Club, who write very large checks to the organization. So I believe they can afford $300 a month. I just think I understand initially why it would have existed. I don't understand why we are subsidizing up to $1,000 a month.
So, if you look at page 14 of the agreement back there in Exhibit C, that's where this is laid out at. That's number one, where it says the city will provide up to $1,000 a month in utility forgiveness of each contract year, and the Boys and Girls Club shall pay all other costs. You will note that when city staff, I believe it was Mr. Brown and your CRA manager met with the Boys and Girls Club representatives, they did elect to change on number 2. I think before that the city was taking on some of those costs, but they will be taking on, I believe, their own internet services. The city was paying for that, so that was something that Mr. Brown wanted to make sure that they would be paying for, but that was something that the city was paying for in the past, so you won't be doing that under this contract. Telephone, fax, Wi-Fi, and internet services will be the responsibility of the Boys and Girls Club. So there were some changes that staff did bring about to not compensate the Boys and Girls Club in as much funding as they had been doing in the past.
Yes, ma'am. And I just want to restate my position. The organization as a whole can afford it. Can afford it. It's my belief. Okay. And I didn't understand and I thank you for pointing that out, just how much the city was supporting the functioning. I knew the utility costs. I did not know about the telephone, fax, Wi-Fi, etc. The city's contribution inside of those services.
Yeah. So just for public purposes, and I believe this agenda was already put out and disseminated, and it is on Exhibit C, which says allocations of common utilities and services. It also states about mowing and common areas in the city, keeping up with that. Now, this is the city's building, right? To my understanding. But I do understand that they are tenants and you can make a lease for whatever you want where they can keep up with some of that. It may be a little bit more difficult for them to do so. But window washing is provided at the city's expense. Painting exterior should be provided at the city's expense, but it's also in the city's sole discretion. So we're not under a contract to necessarily go to mow their lawns weekly or, you know, whatnot. The city is maintaining a few of those things. So if there are any concerns with what the city is maintaining, then, you know, we would just need to go back and renegotiate that. I think when I spoke to the CRA manager, it's just one final point I want to make on it is that I believe this contract is very similar to contracts with every other municipality around us. Am I right in that? That they're very similar, right down to all of the services that those cities do. They do heavily support the Boys and Girls Club in most municipalities.
Thank you for sharing. I did not know that. For me, we're dealing with our challenges, which is why I'm voicing my concerns. I did not know it's the same with other municipalities or similar contractual agreements.
Okay. Now, with that being said, also, I believe Ramel was up. Did you want to continue? Go ahead.
Shayla Riley, 425 South French Avenue, Fort Meade. While I do agree with the Boys and Girls Club being here, and I'm just wondering if this agreement was like enticing to get them to come here. So are we? No, it wasn't to.
They were, prior to the agreement, they were already in a discussion with Commissioner McCutcheon. She initiated this proposal, but then things changed once the administration at the time took over.
Yeah, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I was in talks with them. They agreed to come. Traditionally, Boys and Girls Club have established their footing with the Polk County Public Schools.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, they were going to Anna Woodbury, but after storm damaged the cafeteria building, they still wanted to come. They did not want to pull out. So that's when the previous city manager offered the community center. Because they kept pushing back their date to open up with hopes that the school would be repaired. And when the school informed them they were not going to repair the building, but it had to be demolished because the damage was extensive, we had no other location for them to go. So the city manager did offer them the community center because at the time, there were no other programs technically going on at the community center. And so that's how they ended up there.
So
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So what I'm hearing is we had no other buildings in Fort Meade to accommodate the Boys and Girls Club other than the community center
At the time.
at the time.
Yeah, we did not.
Okay, next question. Sorry, I have many now. Is there nowhere else in the city for the Boys and Girls Club to go, or are we seeing that the community center is potentially their permanent home?
Long term, it is my desire for them to acquire their own building, but that would be down the road because it takes money.
Okay.
And so previously I have met with superintendent of schools in regards to this very issue. Nothing concrete has been established. They're still planning out what they're going to do with Anna Woodbury. However, talks will continue. And of course, the primary goal is to relocate them.
Yeah. I'm just asking because I know we have Riverside. I know New Beginnings is there, but New Beginnings is only but so big.
Yeah, and it would be faced with that was an option, but that didn't pan out.
Okay.
Because that building too is owned by Polk County Schools. But again, we are, I am trying my best to work out something with our CRA as well as Polk County Schools and our lobbyist.
Okay. Probably my last question. I understand that the Boys and Girls Club runs like this in other places. However, I think that we are in we're not in it. We need a Boys and Girls Club here. I believe kids are super important. I believe, they are our future. We need to train, let them lead. However, I don't know that I fully agree that while that we have many people here struggling to pay our utilities, that they are afforded such a big. So I would just like you guys to consider that as we talk about what we're going to do with them. Thank you.
And I want to add to thank you, Ms. Riley. In as much as it sounds bad as it does, but the Boys and Girls Club do provide a needed service in our community. The children that attend there, they don't pay. They get fed a hot meal when they go in the afternoon. And during the summer, they get 3 hot meals with snacks. So the programming that they're providing, I think that we should, as a city, come alongside them and partner with them so we can provide that service. Because if you don't realize it or not, the city of Fort Meade eliminated its parks and recreation. That's why we don't have youth football. That's why we don't have youth baseball, basketball, things of that sort. Because guess what? Financially, we can't afford it to fund it. So when an organization like this agrees to come to our town, I feel like it's equally important that we do what we can as a city to support them, because they are supporting and providing a service to our youth that we ourselves as a city cannot do at no cost to the people whose children are benefiting from that service. And so I think it balances itself out.
I agree. Thank you for clarifying.
That's all I have.
All right.
Yeah, that was very good.
All right. So.
We got one person standing on.
Oh, come on up. I was ready to move on. Come on up.
Good evening, Natalie Feeney, 300 South Washington Avenue. It is a controversial topic, but the Boys and Girls Club provides, it's admirable what y'all are doing. I know you might not want to hear me say this. I think there's some of the budget that's a little padded. I don't think y'all are missing that $12,000 in utilities a year. And to my knowledge, some of the kids who are going to Boys and Girls Clubs are from families who are struggling to pay their bills. So those kids are being provided a really nice environment and a safe environment to go to after school. Secondly, not knowing much about the Boys and Girls Club, I've been having work done at Batista Auto Repair, and randomly just been there when the school bus pulled up to let the kids off after school to the community center. And I could not believe the number of kids getting off the bus. I didn't think the bus was that big enough to hold that many kids. So I know that it's being utilized. The Boys and Girls Club, Mr. Giorgio, who presented last week, I kind of felt bad for him because he was undermining that he felt like attendance should be higher in Fort Meade. But I the attendance is very good, and he should be proud of what he's given back to the community. That's all I got to say.
All right. And at this point, if no other discussion, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution R 2025-111.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second to approve the resolution R 2025-111. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? None, motion carries. Item E06. It has Steve Doyle to
Well,
present.
Steve Doyle is not present this evening. He's under the weather. This policy.
Before we get started, can we have the attorney read it into?
Resolution.
It's okay.
Resolution 2025-112, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, approving a policy change and establishing connection fees for electric service provided by the city's electric department, providing for implementation, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Yeah, Mayor and Commission, this item is a discussion, a follow-up discussion. As you recall, we approved the FMPA study, and this was not on the agenda. So now I just want to make it clear because I don't want someone to think that we did anything inappropriate here. So this is being properly put on the agenda for your review and approval. It is an analysis that was done by Steve Doyle, our interim electric director. I recommend that we approve this resolution and those fees set forth.
Any questions, concerns, or comments?
Nope, I have none.
None. Mr. Shell?
I have nothing.
Okay, any comments from the community? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution R 2025-112.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R 2025-112. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? None, motion carries. Moving on its first reading, ordinance 2025-17.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, I'd like this item be tabled.
Okay.
Do we need to read it into?
Table, postpone?
Gotcha, but do it need to be read into the thing first, or we can just go straight to postponement?
I mean, we can go ahead and read it. Well, no, I think
Well,
the interim city manager can just state that he's asking for ordinance number 2025-17 franchise agreement with Duke Energy to be postponed. Because if we table it, it means we're going to take it up in this meeting, and that's not his intent. So he's going to postpone it.
All right. May I get a motion?
So move.
Second.
All right, and all in favor of postponing on its first reading ordinance 2025-17 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And aye. All any opposed, like sign? None, motion carries. Moving on to E08.
Ordinance number 2025-18, an ordinance of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, amending the budget allocations for fiscal year 2024-2025, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, as you know, these budget amendments are required. This is a routine matter of how we ended the FY25 budget year. You're required within 60 days of close of that fiscal year to do this. And before you is ordinance on first reading. Our recommendation that you approve ordinance number 2518 on first reading.
All right, we'll open this up for public comment. Anybody wish to comment on ordinance 2025-18? If there are none, we'll close public comment and I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve, ordinance R 2025-18 on its first reading.
Second.
Second.
So we have a motion and a proper second to approve ordinance 2025-18 on its first reading. Second reading will be
Monday, November 10th.
Monday, November 10th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, like sign. None, motion carries. And we have come to a conclusion for this evening. City manager comments?
I have none at this time of.
I'm right when I say it, right?
Well, actually, I'm attending the International City Managers Conference. It's located over there in Tampa, Florida. I'll be over there until tomorrow afternoon. I'll be returning back here to City Hall. It started on Saturday.
City attorney comments.
None at this time.
Commissioner Shell.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the city for the beautiful flowers I got and all the prayers I got. I'm still not 100%, but a lot better than I was. And I can honestly say I met the Lord, I believe. But I want to thank you
Sent you
again.
back. You
It
were
meant a
ready.
lot to me. I just want to let you know that. Thank you so much.
We appreciate that, Mr. Shell, and we're glad to see you participating.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Watts.
I have none. I'm gonna go to the agenda, German.
Commissioner Williams.
I just want to thank Commissioner McCutcheon, and this is an example. So I didn't, and city staff, I didn't have the full scope of what the history of the Boys and Girls Club is or the services. So the education actually makes the world of a difference. So thank you, city staff, and thank you, Commissioner McCutcheon. It's been a challenging journey with the building and them occupying it, but I'm happy to know that it's serving our community in the way that it is. So thank you, and thank you.
All right. Commissioner McCutcheon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to reiterate to staff and to the public. I'm doing everything that I can because I understand the significance of our community center and how it came to be. So I'm doing everything within my power to ensure that that space remains a part of our community, and that we reclaim that. But I'll need some time. I've been in discussions. I've spoken with Superintendent Hyde. I've spoken with his boss, one of his bosses, and I've also spoken with our CRA director and our lobbyists. So I'm doing what I can to try to put some things in play to ensure that the Boys and Girls Club remains here. And so I'm working on it. Just know that I'm working on it. And lastly, in our new library multi-use space, will there be space to hold commission meetings?
Yeah, that's not something that we discussed, and
I know.
So,
but I know that it opens up.
I don't know the answer to that question, but I will bring this up tomorrow and because I don't want to say I think yes, but I don't want to say that publicly and people run out.
Right.
Why don't y'all move these things to the
Yeah, I understand, but I was just thinking for the future, for future purposes. It's obvious we've outgrown this space,
right?
And if that space can be outfitted, it may not be initially, but at some point to possibly have those meetings there. Probably because 9 times out of 10, I imagine the acoustics and the sound system will be better than what's here. So that's just forward thinking. It may not be able to be done initially, but soon after.
Right.
I would hope that we could possibly utilize that space for that. But in the meantime, possibly look into, I would like to see, and I don't know if it's because it's a historic downtown Fort Meade, that we can't have a digital sign out here on the corner
We can.
to make our announcements for when we're having meetings and things that are going on in our city? I think that would be very helpful. But you know, for the time being, and that could be kind of costly. But I would like to see something to that effect. So I don't know if the reason why it hasn't been done is it because it doesn't fit the historic model or not. I don't know.
No,
but that would be
It's
nice.
just been a matter of, you know, discussion and thought process and wayfinding and where it goes.
Mhm.
You know, they are expensive.
Yes, I know.
They are. And,
I know.
I mean, that's right on the head, but you could
But it
make
is in the CRA. Amen. So
well, you know what? I mean, we need to look at it.
no problem.
And I think it's an easy way of looking at it and
Okay.
bring something back for you guys on November 10th. How about that? Okay.
All right, that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
All right. So I would like to say that November 15th, meet me at Museum Park. It's going down. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend. This will be the final event commemorating 175 years of the city of Fort Meade. So come out, enjoy yourselves. It's going to be a lot of old-fashioned fun and activities. So that'll take place November 15th. Come on out and celebrate the city of Fort Meade. That is all I have at the moment. And I'll entertain the next meeting will be our regular commission meeting, November 10th at 6 p.m. All right. And so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Consider yourselves dismissed and thank you guys for participating in the process.